Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Agent Boomer. It's my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
You start out the show with such a mellow voice. Hello, welcome
Well,
to the
you have to
stream.
start up mellow because I will get
Because
into
you
we'll
know
get the
the
ranting
energy is
late
going
because
to
the
ramp
ranting's
up over the
coming
night.
later.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's some things to rant about
And I
tonight.
don't know
But
if
yeah,
you saw the watch party last night on Big Al Presents, but he's got himself a new intro. Dude, we
he
got to get you an
does.
intro.
I have to work on that. I'm sorry. I have to. I have
Don't
to
be
do a
sorry
lot
to
of
me. It's
things.
your channel, but I think
No, but I need to get an intro. He has an intro. I'll watch it. Okay.
yeah. Check it out. It's really, really cool.
Maybe I'll have you doing the tell me about the good old days echoing as part of the intro or
Yeah,
something.
well, you want to know something else?
Yeah.
I'm looking at us in StreamYard, and I can see you sitting on your John Deere, and there's me with my, in shadow,
Yeah.
looking real smooth and neat. I look up at YouTube, and we're two white dots.
Yeah, can't see ya.
Why is that happening? Let me get to YouTube. Let's see here.
That's a YouTube problem. That's not a stream. Well, I can't say that. It could be a StreamYard problem, not communicating with YouTube.
Wasn't this happening the other night on some channel? I think was it happening on Heron's channel, I think.
The only time it's
Because Al
happened,
Big Al and I was happening to.
the only time it's happened to me is when I start out with a live camera and go to the
Keep in mind,
picture.
I'm not in StreamYard and I can only see white circles.
Yeah. It's not porting over from StreamYard.
Why am I a white circle?
We'll just have to deal with it, my friend.
Ooh, I don't like this. This looks
YouTube.
awful.
I don't either.
What is this?
That's what we have to deal with YouTube. I will blame YouTube over StreamYard on this, but it could be StreamYard.
I don't know.
Well, we got our names below us, so you'll know which white dot is which.
Oh, what is this? This is like some dystopian future. You're all a dot now.
No
individuality.
That's all you are. No individuality.
Horrible.
You will own nothing, and you will be happy.
What is this nonsense? Well, let me know if you want to show your face. Feel free.
No, anyway, nobody wants to see my face.
It's fine. Let's anyway. Let's talk to the chat, shall we?
Yep.
StreamYard's normal. We'll see if it continues on after the stream is done too. Bunch of BS, if you ask me.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm a big believer in getting your twos right, and I was typing two TOO, TWO, TOOO. I was like, I can't type.
Okay, what happens? It's all right. It happens to everyone. Okay.
Horizon Talker said he couldn't stay, but that's okay.
Boo!
Well, at least he stopped by to say hi and hit the thumbs up.
Oh, I'm still white dotting. Okay. Well, we'll have to find out what's going on with that later.
Hey,
it happened. Actually, in fact, it's funny because it happened at the end of match 6. Not match 6 stream.
Daniel Heron.
Soundtracks
of Birdman.
Yeah, Birdman. Okay, we're watching Magnum Force. That's a good movie.
Dread, how you doing, my friend? It's good to see you
Dread,
too. Big Al, we were just talking about you and your new intro.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Deleted scenes, welcome. Let's see. Depensec, welcome. Yeah, prove your worth. Smash that like button to support the white dots. Yes.
Support the white dots.
That'll be. We'll go from. That's what we should do.
Tonight is the white pill stream, right?
No, it's not the white pill.
Well, not intentionally, anyway.
Not really. It's the white dots. That could be our. That could be the new name for the show, huh? The white dots, huh?
If this ends up sticking, yeah, it might have to be.
The white dots. I'm so excited for Namor the movie. I'm sorry, you just agree with everything that's coming out.
I agree with the current thing. Right?
I agree with the current thing. Yes.
Joshua V. Did we say hi to Joshua V?
Did we say hi to Joshua V?
And Madden.
Madden I did not. So welcome to the stream, y'all. And Slender Man took over. I don't know. That's freaking me out. I don't like these white dots, and I'm gonna have to go online to find out what's going on. But I can't do that now because we gotta stream.
We gotta stream. We gotta, the show must go on, right?
Just out of curiosity, let me try changing my audio avatar. We'll change the other picture. Let's see what happens.
Okay, we'll see if anything happens. Nope.
There it is.
Oh, okay. Let me change mine.
Change should do with something else.
Audio avatar.
Now it may still disappear, but we'll find out because I think they disappeared when I tried this. I tried going to the other Clint Eastwood on the other stream. So
And
there you go.
You know what? I'm
Captain
good with that. I'm going to stick with
leave,
that.
leave it with that tonight. There we go.
That is Commander Rex from
Commander Rex. Okay.
From Rebels, who has been established canonically as being the white bearded rebel that you see in Return of the Jedi in the ground troops.
Take that, Susan. Yeah, I know Captain I thought it was Captain Rex. Maybe I'm getting him confused.
Oh yeah. I guess I
don't know.
I'm forgetting what era I'm talking about. So I guess it would be Captain Rex by this point. But
okay, so Auto Dread sees the icons now. Well, we'll have to figure out what's going on with that. This could be a regular thing where we got to switch back and forth. I don't know. But welcome everybody to Geeky Geezers. I'm starting it over again. And Troy, you said you were going to, instead of little good old days.
Well, we were talking about,
we
were just having this technical difficulty that we were so upset about. And it's like, you are at the mercy of our technological overlords. We can't stream without their platforms, without their the integration of StreamYard and YouTube. And if you're a gamer, you are at the mercy of the patches and the downloads the new content. And I don't think that I'm about to rant about anything that any gamer isn't livid about in their whatever game they choose to play. I hear so much about well, there's this new game out, but there's only half of it on the disc. You gotta then download this mega patch that takes hours. And then when you get it downloaded, you find out, oh, but it's still not working right. There's still bugs. That'll be fixed in the next patch. And it's like, then what am I spending $40 friggin' on? You know, where is your QA? No. You are the QA team. You, the player that just spent $40 on this game.
And then you complain and says, "Hey, listen, it's spring break right now. We'll get to it later."
Exactly. That's pretty much the attitude of some of these guys. Well, so those of you that I'm sure that nobody else besides me in this group, in this demographic would be playing it, but I play The Sims 4 because I'm an old timer who's been playing The Sims since Sims 1.
You can play what you like. It's fine.
In fact, Sims 1, Sims 1 had a really cool integration thing. Sims 1 was I guess you could almost call it a spin-off of Sim City, right? Mm-hmm. Sim City was you would build cities and you would get scored by, and I never played SimCity, so I'm talking out of my ass on this, but as I recall, you create these cities and you would try to make them successful by having, certain revenue generating things in certain places, and you wanted the people that lived in your city to be happy, so you tried not to have a amusement park next to sewer or something like that, whatever.
If you raise taxes, businesses might leave. Was that a thing in SimCity or something? Or
if it wasn't, it should have been, because I would have made Chicago and just driven everyone out. But they also had, every now and again, there'd be like natural disasters. Tornado would come through and smash stuff, and you have to rebuild and things like that. But I never played that. Some people were like, it'd be a lot cooler if we could do this from a individual human level. So they're like, okay, and they created The Sims, and you can create individuals and families and houses in a neighborhood and stuff like that, and control their lives and kill them, because that's what you did as a guy.
It's more like SimCity on a smaller scale, where you get to see the people.
But what was cool was you could build SimCity, and then you could take and focus in on a little chunk of it and export it into The Sims, and that would be your neighborhood. That only happened in the first Sims iteration, and most people have forgotten about that. So everybody talks about Sims 2 and how much more of an open world it was, but in a way, Sims 1 was even more of an open world, because it was, you could directly tie into Sim City. I remember that's why I was actually looking into Sim City, because I was like, maybe I should get into SimCity if I'm going to be doing The Sims. But then Sims 2 came out, and I'm like, okay, screw all that. And I started getting into Sims 2. Ever since the very beginning, though, you've had a whole community of people that did all kinds of modding. These games are, rated T for teen. So it was all very vanilla, very, very wholesome, very family friendly type stuff. And there were, teen and up that were like, we could just put a mod in here and you can do this and you can do that and make it an R-rated game if you want to. And yeah, there's mods out there that pretty much turn it into Grand Theft Auto 5. It's just
What?
Oh yeah, kind of.
Can you have like Jason Voorhees wandering around the neighborhood?
Well, funny you should mention that.
Okay,
because
I didn't know.
After all of our talking about Amityville and Amityville 2 and so forth, I decided to create the Amityville house in my Sims 4. Went on and downloaded. Somebody had already constructed the house, brought it in, and it had all the bells and whistles. It was a cursed house on dark ley lines, and it was haunted. And okay, perfect. That's a great setup. But I looked at the internal setup, and it wasn't exactly the way the real house is laid out. So I had to completely change the internal layout to make it pretty close. And what's that? There were a ton of Sims games: Sim Earth, Sim Ant, Sim Tower. Yeah. And wasn't there one based on like an amusement park or something like that too?
That
Sim
was
Coaster, I think.
I think that was. I think the roller coaster games were a different series, but they were also.
Okay.
If you liked. Oh, I used to have fun. There was one. I did play one, or my friend had it. I think where you got to make a zoo. And I was like, and everyone gathers around the tiger cage. Okay,
Release
open the tiger cage.
Exactly. I would totally do that.
And of course,
Sims 2. No, it's Sims 2 and Sims 3. I used to just come up with the most clever ways to kill my Sims. In fact, those were some of the hacks that I would download, because if you looked through if you stargazed, okay, you lie on your back and you look up at the stars and you stargaze, there's a chance that a satellite will fall and kill you, but it's like a 1% chance. Well, you could download a hack that would increase that to like 25% chance that you get killed stargazing. Like, yeah, let's turn stargazing into a full contact sport.
Was it like was it a Russian satellite?
It was Simish. So
okay,
who knows?
It was Simish. Okay, they all speak Simish. That's right.
But yeah, no. So I was saying that I put together the what's the name of the family? The DeFeo family.
Yes.
And I gave the oldest boy the criminal, motivation or whatever, and I'm going to take him through getting arrested and all that kind of stuff. And I showed you, back in the green room a couple weeks back, I found a patch that allows you to do extreme violence, and he has the extreme violence patch on him. So eventually, when I need him to get arrested, he's just going to kill his whole family and get arrested, and then we'll move in the next family.
Yeah, he said you could play a serial killer in The Sims.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about here, and that's what I'm going to do. And if it goes over really well, maybe I'll build the house from Nightmare on Elm Street too, and bring Freddy Krueger into it.
Oh, that'd be funny. I could see a bunch of Sim teenagers going nuts while they sleep, right?
But speaking of Sims teenagers, this past week saw the release of the most recent Sims 4 update expansion or whatever, Sims High School, where now your high school age Sims can go to Sim High School, and you can live through all the trauma of high school, being picked on and bullied and getting into fights and trying to keep your grades up, and get picked on by the mean girls if you're not popular enough, and go to prom and get pig blood poured on you, all that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
Okay, I'm probably assuming some mods are going to happen there too.
Are the greasers in the school? You can wear the leather jackets. And,
see, and that's the other thing. Talking about teenagers, this Sims 4. Let's say it's written by a bunch of weirdo left-wing blue-haired Wokosos, right? So just like every other iteration of The Sims, okay, you have had the ability to kind of play around with gender preferences. Okay, even though it's teen, friendly, you start doing romantic things and asking out a sim who's the same gender and they
Right.
have some of the same likes and whatnot. You might lead to a little bit of woohoo and
Oh,
experimentation and stuff like
okay.
that. It's what they call sex in The Sims, woohoo, so that it's again,
Woohoo.
so it's
Okay.
family friendly, right? But yeah, they kind of
Cindy?
so yeah, exactly. But now they've decided that they've got to complicate things by you can now create your own pronouns, whether or not you're known as he, him, or she, her, or you
Zer,
literally can
whatever. Yeah.
make things up. And this is the kind of stuff that really starts to drag down the game. It gets more and more complicated because they've got to, you don't just have the binary, interactions. Now you can have all this other stuff and it gets very, very complicated. And honestly, I have seen a lot of the people in the Sims community complaining about the choices of clothing that they put in. They're like, look, we understand you're gearing this towards Gen Z, but it's some pretty ugly crap that you're putting in here. And of course, all the modders are going, well, what do we care? We make up our own stuff, and it's just
But it's
whatever.
being sold on a regular store shelf. And does it
Yeah.
affect the gameplay? Does it mess with the whole
Well,
thing?
it's starting to, because these gender related issues are starting to with this last patch. This was a mandatory patch that was put out, even if you weren't getting the new expansion in
See, you should
anticipation
you
of
should be
this.
able to like toggle that at least in the options
Well,
menu to shut it
you
off, right?
can. There is
Okay.
an option, and I just saw a YouTuber explain how to do that. And I'm like, and she's like, and I highly recommend that you put it on so that you can decide to download the next patch and you can and I'm like, well, how the fuck do I know it's going to fuck up my game until I download the patch? You
Mm,
know? I mean, this is the problem that I have. You assume, well, there's a patch, it's going to fix some stuff. I want that thing, right? You don't know that it's going to screw. Now, those people that are using customs and mods and stuff like that, those are going to get screwed up because they're not planning for that.
nope.
That's your own aftermarket thing, and you just have to uninstall those and reinstall new versions of them or whatever. And that's just something you do as a gamer. But this screwed up the base game for people that had no mods. And when I
Yeah.
say screwed up, I mean
So
screwed up
even
to
if you don't
almost
get this
unplayable.
expansion, even if you don't get this
Yes.
expansion, you still have to get
Even
these
if you don't get the
options.
new expansion,
Yeah.
even if you don't get any mods on your game or any aftermarket additions that you've done yourself, it's screwing up the base game. And here's what I mean. For one thing, because you're playing characters that have relationships, have children, the children age up, eventually people die off, new generations take over. There's time that goes by in the game. The clock for aging got completely thrown off, and kids are suddenly aging to adulthood and dying.
What?
And in like a matter of game hours. And it's like, the fuck, and the only thing you can, and you're screwed. It ruins that household for you. You can't back up. You have to uninstall and reinstall. If you don't have a save of that
Okay.
game, you can't get that family back, and it's
This is what
fucked.
I'm going to say if I'm the guy making the game. Just have another kid.
Yeah, well,
Do you
but
understand what I'm
it's
saying? I'm
but
saying
it's worse than that. Remember what I said about, you've always had the ability to have same gender relationships or whatever you want, or you can whatever. Now that they've been tweaking that and tweaking it and tweaking it so that you could be pansexual, bisexual, ultrasexual, whatever sexual you want to be, it started to affect the way characters interact, including within families,
really.
including between age groups. If you
I
understand what I'm saying.
think so. Yeah. This is just.
Yes. And yes, I know there are mods for that too, because there are sick people out there. But the fact that this is now happening in the base game has horrified people. It's ridiculous.
So,
and then you've got the things where you got your sim walking down the street and they look like, Slender Man with all their proportions all out, their eyes bugged out because of glitches like that. It's just, that kind of horrific. What the fuck is going on there? And so the whole sim community has been up in arms about. So basically, yeah, they done broke it. He's absolutely right. And that's what a lot of the Sims YouTubers out there are saying. And they're pissed. They're saying, look, there was a leak by somebody who put out for every expansion, every, extra download or whatever that they've put out, all the QA teams and how many people they had on them for this last major upgrade, this major $40 addition to the game. 6 QA testers. 6. What? Yep. When in previous iterations they've had upwards of 30 to 60.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and you're complaining about the 6, and EA says, "Hey, that's still twice as many that were on the last Battlefield game," because that people bitch about.
Well, people are really upset right now, and I've been, in the comment sections of all of these. I'm just saying, look, guys, don't buy the new expansion until they get this shit fixed. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. They literally want the gamers that are paying for this game to be their play testers.
They kept getting worse and seeing what the buying public would put up with. This behavior won't change without letting them know by voting with your wallets. First step is no pre-orders. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that all the YouTubers in the Sims community are saying, don't ever, ever, ever do pre-orders ever again. Why? Why would you do that? What purpose is there in pre-ordering? There's no purpose. Wait and see how it comes out and see if, it works for people before you go ahead and buy it. It's not like it's going anywhere.
Yeah. So you're going back to playing The Sims 3 then. I'm sorry.
Well, I've got my own rants about Sims 3, but no, I'm actually not having too big a problem with Sims 4. The aging problem was only a problem if you apparently were doing in the game. You can speed up or slow down how aging happens simply because you might want to do more in the lifespan of a character than the game normally gives you. I never messed with that, so I didn't get hit with that particular glitch. I've already got my Sims characters in, relationships so that they're not, looking at anyone else, so to speak.
Hopefully not within the family.
Well, no, because I've actually aged the kids up and they've moved out and they're in relationships. So that's not happening either. But but I'll tell you what, though, just because it's not directly affecting me does not mean it doesn't piss me off to see it happening to the rest of the community. And like I said, I also am very involved in the modding community. So, a lot of this stuff that people are having problems with, the mods are like, I'll just fix that fucking thing. Here you go.
It should be the modder's responsibility.
No, it shouldn't. In fact, that's another element to this that I don't know too much about. This gets into legal rights about these kinds of things, but there are some modders out there that charge for what they do. And technically it's not totally copacetic, and EA is trying to clamp down on that. And if they do that, it's possible they may end up screwing over people that are just doing it for themselves or giving it away free, which I feel is completely fair use. All the mods that I download are from trusted sites, people that I'm aware of, that it doesn't cost anything, but hey, if you really like what I'm doing, maybe throw a tip my way or something like that,
Yeah. Well, it's weird how some companies treat modders. I know, like with Bethesda, or at least id when they were putting out the Quake and Doom re-releases, they actually put out the modded Doom games as free downloads. Like you can actually download them on game consoles, not even just PC. Like I could and they'll actually promote them. Say, hey, look, this guy who over here, he's a big thing in the Quake modding community. We're going to release this expansion for Quake here. You can download it, so you get another game.
If you want to, if you are in any way at all interested in The Sims and you want to see some funny Sims, walk through the online content and stuff, and I don't mean necessarily custom content, but like the non-modded stuff that's available on the community using the base games and stuff. There's a gal called Fake Gamer Girl, and she'll download lots, like 3 or 4 lots for a video in a particular search parameter, and she'll do like cursed lots. She'll do illegal lots, in quotes, illegal lots, and you'll find like this really cool little country bakery and so on and so forth. But then when you go down into the secret basement, they're hacking up puppies or something like that. And they get very clever with the not mods, but the base game stuff to imply what's happening in the scene. And it's like, oh, you people are sick. I am not okay with this, she says as she leaves. And she goes, and yet I'm going to download the next one right now for you. But so no, Auditor Dread, I'd never even heard of Sims Ant. I can't even imagine what that is.
I'd heard of it. I never played it. No, there were a bunch of Sims games. They released the Sims, SimCity on the Super Nintendo, and I think in like SimCity on PC, like you could have like a giant monster attack the city, like a Godzilla type creature.
That's cool.
But on the Super Nintendo, since Nintendo published it, it was Bowser from Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, that's hysterical. Oh my gosh, that's funny. And see, that's the kind of thing that if that's available, if some story element like that is available in The Sims, someone's going to come up with a mod for that feature that puts a new skin on it, so that instead of whatever
monster you want. Yeah,
exactly.
Sounds like it was intentional by those that normalize that behavior and get it added to the. Yeah, but it didn't normalize anything because it broke the game, right?
It really did. It really did, and it for a game that normally is so you could make things more or less likely to happen or turn off features and stuff like that. Most of these things are things that could usually be turned off. What really got a lot of fans, even in the LGB community, pissed off, is it possible to turn off the feature of, gender fluidity? And they said no, because you can't do that in real life. And everyone was like, that's fucking bullshit, because there is so much in The Sims that you can't do in real life that you can do in The Sims. That's the whole point of The Sims.
Can you change a character's sex in the game like halfway through?
Interestingly, no.
Okay, I'm not saying you should, because
that's the big thing about it, and sometimes, much to the frustration of players, once you've created your sim and their face and their body shape and all that kind of stuff, the only way to change stuff then is like you can get bigger or smaller by exercise and diet and stuff like that, just like the real world. You can't go back in and change that, and it's like, I made a mistake. I meant to do that. No, you can't change it. It's not allowed. Gotcha. So I would say then, but shouldn't we be able to change our genders if we decide that's, this is going to become a sticking point for them going forward. I think they're really painting themselves into a corner with this.
This reminds me of a while back though. There was some, let me just read all their first though. Sim Ants is an older sim game. You basically start as an ant colony and start to take over the backyard of someone's resident. Oh, that's funny. That's clever.
See, and that's what's interesting about that is I feel like even though we call games like The Sims and SimCity and whatnot a game, it's not really a game in that there's not really an end game in mind. It's just you playing God with a territory or a family or a person or whatever. Whereas what he just described, you have a goal. You are literally waging war against the humans, and you have to do strategy and plan how to get around their pesticides and their floodings and stuff. So I could totally see that actually does sound pretty cool. And that's one I wouldn't want to mod. That's one I'd want to play it straight so that I'm actually playing the game. See, that's the thing about The Sims. Since it's really more storytelling than it is gaming, I want to tell the stories I want to tell. So if I want my family to be hacked to pieces in the middle of the night, I'm going to have to download a hack to do that.
I'm sorry, you said hack and then hacked. I got you.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's a good.
point.
I don't like puns, but that was
To
a good
hack
one.
the hack. I gotta hack the hack the hack. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, by the way, this reminds me of a story years back. I think Nintendo released a DS game, right? Where you could play, the Mii characters from the Nintendo Wii, where you could make yourself look like this weird version of yourself and play tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they made a game based around like you could be your Mii and then walk around in a community and do things. And I think there was an option to marry and stuff like that. But then there was same-sex marriage in the game, and then it was actually Nintendo realized that was a glitch in the program, so they patched it out. And then Nintendo said, "Oh, it's a glitch." And then all the news outlets were saying, "Nintendo says being gay is a glitch," and all this. That's not what they said. But
right.
This is like the reverse now. It's like,
well, see, but that was where they should have looked at that and said, it wasn't a glitch, it was a feature, and then not patched it, just left it.
Well, yeah, but they're a Japanese company. They fix their broken games. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
Well,
I'm sorry.
You make an excellent point there.
Here's what I'm.
And if they really wanted there to be gay characters, they could have said, "This was a glitch. We will.
I think that's basically what they said. We'll review this sort of thing for future.
We will do it right.
People want. Yes, I think that's what they did.
It to be a glitch. We want it to be.
Yeah, I think that's basically what they did, because this game is already done. But if this is something people want, maybe they decided they consider it for future. I don't know what they ended up doing for sequels. It wasn't my style of game, but
well,
and
the reason that I find it funny is because the, in quotes, R-rated hacks actually do allow you to override the Sims so that you can, it gives you the option to say you can set the gender preference for your Sims, and you can make them respect the gender preferences of others, like real life, despite what EA Games says.
EA has I don't even want to say they have a bad reputation now. If you don't know, they have a bad reputation. That they have one of the worst reputations of any game company exists. Like, not just any game company, any company, period. I think they stay alive because they're soccer games, and there's like a lot of what's that word? Monetization. A lot of their soccer games and the FIFA games are still very popular.
What do you call it? The microtransactions and stuff like that.
I think even worse. So they were the ones that did all that stuff with the loot boxes in that Star Wars game. Remember? Years back. But
well, you know how everybody jumps on our particular area of fandom. You guys are boomers. Get with it. Things change. Get over it. Well, I'm coming to realize that there are a lot of people in the Sims community, and I'm not talking like our generation. I'm talking young people that are really pissed that although this is, a fourth iteration of the game, they're bringing in legacy characters from Sims 2, the Goth family and the Pleasant family and the so forth. And they don't look right. They're not built right. They're off and they're wrong. There's this one, it might actually be Fake Gamer Girl. I can't remember. Actually does videos about, I've fixed these characters. This is how they should look and so forth. And I completely rebuilt their house, so it's more like in Sims 2 and stuff like that. And then she'll be saying, but there's only so much I can do because this feature from Sims 2 doesn't exist and this one doesn't exist. And they just brought this feature in from Sims 2 with the new patch and it's broken and it doesn't work,
Here's the issue. When you buy a product, you're expecting that product to be the product you will own, and then for them not to send a patch in that will mess it up and not be the product that you bought. I understand this, yes. If they had decided to make a Sims 5 and included this feature from the get-go, you at least you were at least going to be informed, and you were going to decide, okay, I don't want this, and not buy it.
Well, the problem was that from what I'm hearing from these more knowledgeable Sims fans, apparently Maxis was the shit and they did great games, and when they weren't doing it anymore and EA took over outright, it just kind of went to shit. So.
If you want to play a city simulator, play City Skylines. It puts anything SimCity has done to shame, especially given the last SimCity game's quality.
Gray Still Plays was saying something like that too. So yeah, probably.
I am not a boomer. I am Gen X and proud. Really? Okay.
Yeah. Technically, we are too, despite what we say.
No, it's just Why don't you just do something useful with your time, young man?
But I'll tell you, I mean, it's
Instead of
Gen
playing
X
those computer games.
It's Gen X and Gen Z that are saying these things about The Sims, and I'm like, you sound like me over at my fandom. So good
Here's
on
what
you.
everything skips generations. Yes, I'm just saying. Anyways,
But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. That's my contribution to the gaming portion of the channel. Usually, that's your thing.
I actually have some Sims games, and I have the console versions. I have the ones that are released on the GameCube and the PlayStation 2.
There you go.
They release console-only versions, and those can never be patched. So there's that.
Not only can they never be patched, they can't be modded, and
nope,
and they can't interact with, like if I make custom content on the PC, I can't share that with you, but I can share it with the whole rest of the community.
See, there was the Sims Busting Out.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the Sims 2, Sims Pets.
Yep.
And the Herbs.
Yep, the Herbs was one that we didn't get on PC because it kind of encompassed some of the stuff we already
It's
had
basically
on PC.
These are like, instead of giving us expansions, because you couldn't do that back in those days on consoles,
Right.
You just get a new game incorporating the expansions, maybe based around those expansions. So it was kind of interesting. And they were basically made for consoles specifically. They were different than what you got on PC, so they were kind of their own thing. But
yeah, they were.
Okay, well,
there you go.
Now we get into some sad news, and get out the tissues, everybody, because this is the
obituary section of Geeky Geezers.
We might as well start calling it kind of an obituary stream.
I know.
It's just
all but one of the people we'll be featuring has at least some Star Trek presence or effect. It's pretty amazing.
One more thing though, I've been playing video games since Pong. When I finally get put into a nursing home, I'll be playing video games and running D&D. That'd be interesting. D&D in a nursing home. That'll be interesting when that starts happening. Having D&D games in nursing homes. Okay. Yes.
I made my geriatric save.
All right now. Some sad news tonight. Breaking news has happened today.
Yeah.
Last night, this is from the website, ahura.com. Last night, my mother, Nichelle Nichols, succumbed to natural causes and passed away. Her light, however, like the ancient galaxies now being seen for the first time, will remain for us and future generations to enjoy, learn from, and draw inspiration. Hers was a life well lived, and as such, a model for us all. I and the rest of our family would appreciate your patience and forbearance as we grieve her loss until we can recover sufficiently to speak further. Her services will be for family members and the closest of her friends, and we request that her and our privacy be respected. Live long and prosper, Kyle Johnson. Yeah, so, of course, everybody, respect the family, leave them alone while they're grieving. But, Nichelle Nichols, no longer with us. I'm trying to think.
I shared that out today on Twitter with the share line. Hailing frequencies closed.
Yeah, that's right.
So obviously, Star Trek alum. She was one of the mainline characters from the beginning,
from the original series. Yeah.
Yep.
Communications officer, correct?
Exactly.
This was
people have pointed out, though, that technically that put her in the command line. So she could have been the captain of a ship had she chosen that career.
Interesting. One thing I noticed, communications officer. Was she a communications officer because at that point in time they didn't have the universal translators yet installed?
You see the universal translator just coming into vogue in the first season of Star Trek, and you actually see its quasi invention in Enterprise. Hoshi Sato had a big hand in it. And what I found very interesting about that was it was, as they go into the history of that technology, it was very much a collaboration of linguists that had to contribute to it. So Hoshi, knew a lot of Earth languages. That was her forte. But the Vulcans, had the translation ability for, other races and so forth. And by working together, they came up with this universal translator. And it's based on, the same kind of learning algorithms that, real world translation programs work on.
Yeah.
They kind of suck right now, but they're getting better and better. You figure by the 24th century, they'll be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I had seen a demo on YouTube of this gentleman, and he had like he's an American. He had a French girlfriend, and he had this little machine, and he spoke into it, and it translated, and she spoke to it, translated. It was almost instantaneous.
Yeah.
And they were both shocked. And I don't know if this thing ever came to pass, that these things were becoming available, but
so the idea is
yeah.
that if you have two languages
Mhm.
that are well known and the algorithms and translation matrices are in existence, it can be very quick. If it's a language that isn't well known, and this is what comes up in Star Trek, we've encountered a language, it's similar to these other languages, but there are differences, and it takes them time to get it integrated, and that gives them an opportunity to write stories where there's miscommunication and so on and so forth. But then there's the thing where, like in Star Trek 6, where look, we can't use the universal translator, they will know, so we have to speak Klingon, and that's where they are opening up their Klingon dictionaries and their, whatnot. I think they overplayed it for effect, because it would have been so much better if Uhura just had flipped open a line and just started speaking Klingon, and everyone just looks at her and she goes, "What? I'm the communications officer. Of course I speak Klingon."
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They were going for the joke. But I always did imagine that Uhura, because she's always talking. She spoke Swahili, she spoke English. I'm sure she spoke a bunch of other languages that never actually came up.
She was probably a master linguist, I would expect, to have that job, especially on the flagship. Yeah, but yeah.
And in fact, that was one of the good things that I did like about the JJ Trek, was that they played that storyline up with Uhura in that.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that if you're going to update something, that's the thing you focus on,
Sure.
But
so there are only 3 original series main actors left: Shatner, Takai, and Coing. Yeah.
Koenig, I swear,
Koenig, yeah,
he's really hanging on there, because he's had heart problems for years.
Was he the youngest of the actors?
He
in the main
was the
set?
youngest.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess he still is technically, but he had a major heart attack when he was here in Chicago, and Netter and I were working security for the convention. He was supposed to come on, and we had to cover for him, and we knew he had a heart attack, but we couldn't let anyone there know, because it would get out to the news. And this was even before, the internet was as big as
respecting privacy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, then when it came out in the news, I'm like, well, it wasn't one of our people that leaked it, but so yeah, that was almost 30 years ago, so he's been doing pretty good considering, he must be taking pretty decent care of himself. Shatner too. I mean, how old is Shatner? He's in his 90s. I mean, I used to make fun, he's a heavy guy, blah, 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 but he's wearing it well. He actually looks really good for 90s.
I'm getting a kick out of him as that host of the show The Unexplained. I think I mentioned this last week, but
yeah.
the chupacabra. Like, he says everything with such earnestness, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
It's like I said, I draw the comparison to Adam West on Batman. He's like, he plays it serious, even knowing it's a bunch of farce bullshit, you know?
Well, I'm not even saying, because some of the experts they have on, they're making good claims, and I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of odd. This woman's been struck by lightning twice and survived, and I'm not, and I know that happened, and it's that you know.
Yeah, if I got hit by lightning once, I'd be a little bit more careful going out in a rainstorm. Okay.
Oh, here's what happened. She was like ex-military, like she's retired, like she had served, but she's out of the military, and she got struck by lightning, and she said like she thinks it changed something in her body because like her hair was more staticky. It's like she would shock people more and stuff, like the static electricity. And then she was talking to her therapist, and he told her, "Look, you're a soldier. You got to soldier up. Stop being afraid of the storms now." It's okay. So she decided, she went home that day. There was a storm outside, and she decided, I'm just going to open up the porch door and just step out into the porch area. She wasn't even going out front, and she just had the door open. Then lightning came, hit her through the open doorway, and knocked her down again.
Oh God!
And
oh my God!
I don't know. And I don't know if she thought
you start wondering if you pissed the gods off or something,
No, she thought maybe something in her now is attracting the lightning, and I don't know. It's just, I mean, she seemed
think
that
after all that, you'd have like superpowers, right? Like the Shocker or something, just.
Well, that happened to Livewire on Superman the Animated Series.
I'm sure. So it could happen.
Yeah, of course, and on a cartoon, yeah. Like,
he's
hey,
91. Oh, okay.
More actors have left us. We have lost Goodfellas actor Paul Sorvino dies at 83. We were just watching Goodfellas with Paulie from Latino Slant on your channel a few weeks back.
Exactly. But also he also has a Star Trek connection as well. He played Worf's adoptive brother, Nikolai Rishenko.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so Paul Sorvino, who starred in Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas and early seasons of NBC series Law and Order, died today of natural causes after suffering health issues over the past few years. He was 83. His death was announced by his publicist, Roger Neal, on behalf of Sorvino's wife, Dee Dee Sorvino, who was at his side when he passed.
Yeah.
Our hearts are broken, said Dee Dee Sorvino in a statement. There will never be another Paul Sorvino. He was the love of my life and one of the greatest performers to ever grace the screen and stage. Paul Anthony Sorvino, born April 13th, 1939 in Brooklyn, and starred in such films as Goodfellas, Nixon, Dick Tracy, The Rocketeer, For the Love of Money, That Championship, Seasons, Reds, A Touch of Class, and Oh God, among many others. On television, he starred on seasons 2 and 3 of Law and Order, and on Broadway in That Championship season. I mean, he was I'm shocked. It's like we're losing a lot of actors now. This is just
and so prolific too. I mean, if you don't know the name, you know the face, and you've seen him in a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the next one you're going to tell us about.
Oh, this one's
hard.
This one hit me. Because this is an actor basically I grew up with, and he was a lot of
all
things
of us
I watched. This is okay. I'm just gonna have to lay it on you. Yep. This is Star Trek Tron actor David Warner dies aged 80. Now, of course, I knew him first from the Terry Gilliam movie Time Bandits.
Time Bandits, yes.
And David Warner was known for playing villains, and in Time Bandits, he basically played evil.
Yes,
he's just evil. He was the supreme being, as they call the movie, and like I remember the little kid that says, "You mean God? We don't know him that well." Just the British humor in that was funny, but he was evil, and he would have all these grandstanding speeches like, "No one created me. I created myself." I cannot be unmade. And he sounds like the embodiment of evil would talk, right?
Right.
David Warner, he's terrifying. It's like if David Warner's in a movie, you're going to be terrified.
MCU, Master Computer in Tron, and the analog evil, executive. in that story.
Yes. Oh, what's his name? Darn it! I hate it when I forget character names. Let me read the article. Maybe I'll keep on reading. British actor David Warner, who starred in Star Trek and Tron and many other projects, has died at age 80. The BBC reports that Warner died of a quote-unquote cancer-related illness. His family shared the news with an overwhelmingly heavy heart. Over the past 18 months, he approached his diagnosis with a characteristic grace and dignity, said an official statement. He will be missed hugely by us, his family and friends, and remembered as a kind-hearted, generous, and compassionate man, partner, and father whose legacy of extraordinary work has touched the lives of so many over the years. We are heartbroken. Warner began his career. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say that, Big Al was mentioning Time After Time. I'd actually forgotten that one.
Yes.
But he was also a voice actor. He played Jor-El in Lois and Clark, New Adventures of Superman. Oh, that's not a voice acting role. He was in that. I remember that now that I think about it.
It's interesting.
But
he
did
played
the voice
Jor-El.
of Ra's al Ghul in the animated.
He did on Batman the Animated Series.
Batman the Animated Series.
It's funny when I think of who played Jor-El on the Smallville now. They
Yeah, on Smallville,
Terrence Stamp
of Terrence Stamp, who was Zod in the movies. Right.
I'm shocked they never got Terrence Stamp to do a voice on any of those old cartoons.
Right?
But anyway, But
for Star Trek fans, he was the Federation ambassador of Nimbus 3 and Star Trek 5, which Al will be watching this week. He played Gul Madred. Gul Madred, the Cardassian in Chain, the Four Lights.
Terrifying episode of Star Trek. One of the best. It's funny. I remember Red Letter Media recovering their Star Trek episodes, and they were like, "Why wasn't this a season finale?"
Right.
Like with Picard getting captured by the Cardassians and starting out the new season with the interrogation, because they were like, "This was better than whatever." I think the Hugh Borg storyline where they they thought that was a better two-parter. They said they should have saved that for their season finale. Yeah.
But the one that stands out the most for me personally, being the Klingon cleric, is Chancellor Gorkin,
who was not a villain.
He wasn't really a villain. No,
he was actually trying to make peace. He was genuine.
He would have been. I mean, he was clearly meant to be an analog for Gorbachev.
Yeah,
that's why Gorkon is the name. Even sounds similar. So yeah, it's sad.
He was also in Babylon 5, one of the best episodes of the series, Grail. I don't remember.
I did know he had been in Babylon 5. I'd forgotten the role, though.
I'd forgotten. Well, he showed up everywhere.
Right?
Actually, you know what's really good on that episode of Babylon 5? Remember when Michael York showed up on Babylon 5? I remember that, too.
Oh, yeah.
He thought he was one of the Knights of the Round Table, I think.
Right.
Or maybe he thought he was King Arthur. I don't remember.
I'm looking back at some of his voice acting work. He was in
everywhere.
Captain Planet and the Planeteers. I'm like, even these little rinky-dink Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
He was the scientist. And I remember going to see that in the theater. Is he supposed to be Baxter Stockman? But no, because they never used the cartoon villains.
Totally forgot he was in Twin Peaks in the second season. He played Eckhart.
He was. I remembered that. That was what's his name? His friend. I remember that. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Did he get blown up by a safe?
He got killed. I don't remember
Maybe that was somebody else. Okay.
See, I don't remember season 2 as well as I remember season 1 because I watched season 1 over and over.
I need to rewatch the whole thing at some point, front to back. That's a project of mine. Maybe since I'm kind of petering out on my X-Files rewatching because I'm on season 6 and it's getting hard to get through.
Ed Dillinger. That was the name you were looking for. Ed Dillinger.
Ed Dillinger, yes. And I another missed opportunity because I suspected they would have brought him back with the Tron sequel because they had his son in it, and who was not his son was played by Cillian Murphy in that movie. But,
he played Jennings in The Omen.
Yes. He didn't always play villains.
So many roles that I forget.
Yeah. But yeah,
I guess historically that would have been the first role that I saw him in was The Omen. Just didn't remember him from that.
He was the reporter.
Yep. He lost his head.
Yeah. Literally. I think everybody lost their head figuratively in that movie.
True.
They were dealing with, but
anyway, Doctor Who lost. He got impaled.
Here we go, though. But let me see. He will be missed hugely by us, his family and friends, and remembered as a kind-hearted, generous, and compassionate man, partner, and father, whose legacy of extraordinary work has touched the lives of so many of theirs. We are heartbroken. I suspect he was probably a very nice man in real life, considering he played all the villains on the screen. Frankly, from what I've heard, the actor who played a cigarette smoking man on the X-Files, was actually a very nice man in real life.
I would imagine.
He,
Yeah.
he played like one of the worst villains on television. But
Boris Karloff, they said the same thing about him in real life.
I have no
sweetest
doubt.
Person in the world.
No
Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch of the West. You know, in fact, she was heartbroken by the children that were scared of her because she had played the witch. You know,
well, that was your job to scare the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah. Apparently, this was interesting though. He began his career on the stage in 1962, making his debut as Snout in A Midsummer's Night's Dream at Royal Court Theatre. However, he went on a long and celebrated career in film and television, appearing on Doctor Who and landing several Star Trek roles. I wonder who he was on Doctor Who. Because that could have been any series. That could have been the old series for all I know. I don't know.
I will look. I didn't even.
I could see him as a Time Lord, like one of the with the funny, with the full regalia.
He was suggested by Jane Baker as a candidate to replace Colin Baker as the Doctor in 1963.
He would have been an excellent Doctor.
Ultimately went to Sylvester McCoy. He was considered for many guest roles in the series. Akon in Doctor Who State of Decay, Commander Scott in Doctor Who Earthshock, and Valgard in Terminus. But it's not saying that he actually played a role.
Yeah, I think they're mistaken there because I don't remember him being. Because I think I would have remembered him on Doctor Who.
I should think so too.
To be fair, I need to revisit the Pertwee era at some point, just because I know that was spotty with.
Oh, here it is. He was in Cold War in 2013. He played Professor Grishenko.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I do remember Time Bandits. I remember Straw Dogs, which is, in my opinion, he did several collaborations.
I'm sorry. He was also in the TV mini short Dreamland. That would have been a voice actor role. I actually have that DVD. Did not catch that was him. He played Lord Aslock.
Interesting.
But you know me, I'm a completist, so of course I have the animated features too.
He worked with Sam Peckinpah, The Ballad of Cable Hogue, Straw Dogs, and Cross Myron. Straw Dogs is one of the most violent movies ever made. Not for the faint of heart. If you want to see Dustin Hoffman killing a bunch of Welsh hillbillies, that's basically what it is, and it's
he must have done a good amount of work with David Lynch. He was in Wild at Heart too.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what he said. Wild at Heart. Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me. He's just a great actor, and he'll be missed. It's funny him in Star Trek V, because I remember. You want to watch a funny review for Star Trek V? Watch the Siskel and Ebert review, because they were not pleased with that, and they were saying, I like David Warner's in this movie. He's a great actor. He just disappears, like halfway through the movie. We don't know what happens to him.
Right.
And they're saying everyone's getting sloshed in this movie. They were saying that about Star Trek V. They were not pleased with Star Trek V. I'll put it to you that way. But all right, here we go. Moving on. We got more deaths to cover. Don't you love this stream so far? Okay, we got to start cracking. I could talk about David Warner for 2 hours. One of my favorite actors. I'm sorry to see him go, but I hope he's. Looks like he left behind a lot of loved ones. So that's probably more important than his acting accolades. The fact that he, family will remember him fondly. But all right, let's go ahead and go to Star Trek. Oh, sorry, Tony Dow.
Yeah,
77, dead day after premature death announced.
That was rough. Yeah, they announced his death.
Yeah,
a day or what was it? A day before? Yeah,
he wasn't
dead yet. Yeah. It's like you almost picture him lying in his bed, going, "Not dead yet,
getting better."
I'm just fine.
Oh, leave it to anyway. For those of you who don't know, that he's Leave It to Beaver star. Yeah, and he played, I believe, the brother of.
I'm forgetting the character's name too.
Wally?
What? Was it? Well, yeah, it might
No,
have been.
hold on.
Yeah.
We received confirmation that
Yeah.
Christopher. Hold on, I'll read. Christopher, Tony's son, and Tony passed away earlier this morning with his loving family by his side to see his way through the journey. Statement posted to his Facebook page read: Statement continued. We know that the world is collectively saddened by the loss of this incredible man. He gave so much to us all and was loved by so many. One fan said it best: "It's rare when there is a person who is universally loved like Tony." His son mourned the loss of his dad, calling it a very sad day. Although it is a very sad day, I have comfort and peace that he is in a better place. He was the best dad anyone could ask for, Christopher said in the statement. He was my coach, my mentor, my voice of reason, my best friend, my best man in my wedding, and my hero. My wife said something powerful and shows the kind of man he was. She said Tony was such a kind man. He had such a huge heart. And I've never heard Tony say a bad, negative thing about anyone. So, yeah, sorry to see him go. Yeah, he was Wally.
And I was surprised to find out as I was doing my research for tonight, he also has a Star Trek connection.
Wally Cleaver. He was on Star Trek?
He wasn't on Star Trek. He was behind the camera. He directed the episode Field of Fire for Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good episode.
Remind me of that episode. What was that about? Field of Fire? Was that?
That was during the war. That was one.
That's not the one with the young cadets that had their own ship and were doing what they wanted with it. That might be a different episode. No, that might be a different one I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me see. Let me double check.
Field of Fire.
And I want to type fast. I can't type fast. So this is it's an Esri heavy episode.
Field of Fire, DS9, 163rd episode. Oh, so this was later on.
Esri investigates a serial killer at work on Deep Space Nine who is symbiotically joined to a long-lived. Oh, yeah. So Esri is investigating a murderer who actually happens to be, a joined Trill. So that means, it's not supposed to happen. And that was part of the whole Trill scandal. I won't get too into it, but yeah, very good stuff. Okay, so this was just on the heels of the what do you call it? The Dominion War.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because Jadzia died towards the end of the war.
I remember that
comes in the aftermath. So yeah, this was the
remember when War Screen, remember?
Oh,
he did his Klingon howl.
And then he goes on a journey to make sure that she gets into Stovokor.
Huh. Oh, that's right.
That's what you do. Just,
Well, she died. Did she die a warrior's death according to Worf?
But just to be sure, you still,
have to
do something in her honor, right?
Gotcha.
And because it's possible to not literally die directly during combat, and Klingons are going to say, well, maybe that doesn't really quite. Okay, well, fine, then I will go and carry on battle in her name to ensure her place in Stovokor.
Gul Dukat, right? He was the one that did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was the great villain of that series, right?
That actor, I don't even remember his name. He played actually a couple different Cardassian roles, let alone other roles. But he was just he chewed up that scenery. He was the guy to watch when he was on screen. Let me tell you. Sorry, we're getting distracted.
We're getting tired. But another actor died. This is another one that hits you.
This
Actor
one
Bernard
probably
Cribbins.
bothered me more than any of the others. I was so saddened.
Delighted you kids in the United Kingdom for generations. Bernard Cribbins, a beloved British entertainment whose 7-decade career ranged from the bawdy carry-on comedies to children's television, and Doctor Who's died. He was 93. Agent Gavin Barker Associates announced Cribbins' death on Thursday. Bernard's contribution to British entertainment is without question, it said. He was unique, typifying the best of his generation, and will be greatly missed by all who had the pleasure of knowing and working with him. A warm, avuncular character actor, Cribbins was a childhood presence for several generations of Bristons. He played station porter Albert Burks in the 1970 movie classic The Railway Children and voiced all the characters in The Wombles, a 1970s animated series about a family of
Yep.
burrowing creatures living under London's Wimbledon Common. Cribbins was also the voice and road safety squirrel Tufty Fluffytail in a series of public information films. And held the record for the most appearances, more than 100, on children's storytelling TV series Chicanery. Well, sounds like the Mister Rogers of England. I don't know.
Kind of.
Kind of. That's what.
One of his earliest roles was 1958, the 1958 version of Dunkirk. He played the thirsty sailor. He was uncredited. I don't
Thirsty
remember
Sailor.
that one. I'm sure that I saw it, but I do not remember it. I'm going to have to look back at it. But genre fans probably know him best for his time as in Doctor Who, starting with his 1966 appearance as Tom Campbell in Daleks Invasion of Earth 2150 AD.
Yes.
The
Which was an
Doctor Who
adaptation.
film. Yeah.
It was an adaptation of the episode, right? That they did in movie form.
Exactly.
I think Amicus made it, and I haven't seen it, but I remember that episode of the series. At least reading about it. That
It's
was a
funny.
big
I
deal
haven't
because,
seen it either, but I've seen so many behind the scenes because there was such a close relationship between the movies and TV shows as far as props and people that worked on the films and so forth. Yeah, there's a lot there. He was in the Avengers in 1960 and 1968.
Oh, the series.
Yeah.
The 1967 James Bond spoof Casino Royale. I'm sorry.
Oh, of course. Faulty Towers.
Faulty Towers. Frenzy. Alfred Hitchcock's one of his last.
You mentioned the
movies.
Railway Children. I know. I don't think I've ever seen it, but that one is one of those like holiday fond memories for a lot of British children because it was played over and over during the holidays.
Yeah. Of course, modern audiences may know him as Wilfred Mott, companion to David Tennant, titular Doctor.
That one
He played a pivotal role in the final appearance of David Tennant, right?
I mean, he really did. And man, I tell you that when I saw that, I just think of that scene of him saying goodbye to the doctor and crying because he knows the doctor's dying. And
did they get and you know what else I thought was interesting? Do you remember the prior episodes when the stars were going there was some weird alternate reality where the doctor never came to Earth and all the bad stuff kept happening that was going to happen?
It was called Left Turn. Yeah,
maybe it was when Donna never met the doctor. Maybe that's what it was, or something. And everything was going wrong. And I remember there was a scene, and I think there was like an immigrant. I think they were putting backing all the British citizens in like comeback places, and they ended up being stuck next to an immigrant family, right? And like they're singing, and it's like, "Oh, Dad, can you tell them to turn it down? I'll go talk to them." Yeah, and he goes over there, and then he doesn't come back, and Donna goes, and then he's singing with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he gets us horrified because then they end up removing the immigrant family, and he starts screaming, "Oh no, it's happening again!" And I'm wondering, what is he referring to? Was this like a Holocaust reference or something? Was he worried or stuff that happened in World War II? Was he?
He was probably talking about the Blitz.
Okay, yeah, because he was horrified by just the stuff going on in England, because he was expecting the Americans to come to help them, but then something else happened to the Americans, and they couldn't make.
And
all
they
this
kept,
bad stuff
referencing other stories. What would have been different in the world if the doctor hadn't been around from that one episode, right?
So something that the doctor stopped from happening to England, it didn't happen in England, but then it happened in the United States.
But even in the mainline story, when they wrapped up the whole Donna Noble thing, where the doctor had to take away her memory of ever having known him. Otherwise, it would have just burned her up. There was this meta crisis.
Yeah.
And he's trying to. You can't do that to her. She was so much better with you. Basically, she was kind of a bitch before, and she's grown so much as a person because of you. But the way he says it is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, but then when I shared this out on social media, I shared the gif of him saying goodbye to the doctor with his own quote. But every night when it gets dark and the stars come out, I'll look up at the sky and think of you.
Yeah.
Bernard
Yep.
Cribbins. Man.
Sorry to see him go. And like I said, it's he's his wife of 6 years, Jill, died last year. But there's Dr. Sherman Russell D. Davis commemorating Cribbins, a wonderful actor. I'm so lucky to have known him. Thanks for everything. My old soldier, a legend, has left the world. So
93 years old.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well,
And
you know,
what a
he
career.
left behind a great legacy, I'm sure, especially for a lot of the children in the United Kingdom. You know, I am going to say this. As we try to make some unifying weird pop culture, which I'm not so, I like the fact that different countries have their own popular cultures and their own children's shows and stuff. And I want to see that continuing, you know.
I do have to go out of my way to see the Railway Children now, because I mean, between him and a very young Jenny Agutter, I've got to see that movie, you know.
Oh yeah. But I have both Doctor Who, Queen of Christian Doctor movies. I need to watch them. I like Amicus's Hammer movies. Amicus was kind of like a rival of Hammer Studio. They didn't have quite the budget Hammer had, but they actually sometimes used a lot of the same actors, like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, in their productions. But they made a great werewolf movie called The Beast Must Die, actually. Amicus did. Which was set up like a murder mystery, and you're watching the movie, and like they give you a minute to pause, like before they do the big reveal of who because basically this guy invites people to this gentleman in Africa. He invites people to his place, and he's trying to figure out which of them is the werewolf, and it's like they're all suspects at this dinner party. You know, each one of them, one of them could be the werewolf.
Wild because there is that secret werewolf game that
I wonder if it was based on this movie.
It had
or maybe,
to be. It had to be.
Yeah. Okay, now we get to the pop culture geek news at 10:12. Okay,
I know, right? Holy crap!
Aquaman 2 will see Ben Affleck return as Batman. It's official. Ben Affleck is back as Batman and Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. The upcoming sequel sees Jason Momoa return as Arthur Curry, the seafaring superhero known as Aquaman, but it looks as though he couldn't resist revealing that he won't be the only Justice League member returning in the movie. Reunited, he said via Instagram, Bruce and Arthur love you and miss you. Ben WB Studio Tours just explored the backlight. All right, busted on the set. On set, all great things coming. Aquaman 2, all my aloha, Jay. Okay, that was a mouthful.
That's a lot. Yeah.
The official DC Comics Instagram simply replied, Legends. What's surprising is that Affleck was reportedly done with Batman, officially hanging up his cape. Of course, we knew he was due to appear in the upcoming Flash movie, which was really set to debut in November 2022, but has since been pushed back to June 23rd, 2023. But this was supposed to be his final time on screen as the Cape Crusader. Instead, it looks as though someone somewhere convinced him to return, and after his experience on Justice League, it couldn't have been an easy conversation.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I had a really nadir experience around Justice League for a lot of different reasons, said Affleck, not blaming anyone. There was a lot of things that happened, but really what it was is that I wasn't happy. I didn't like being there. I didn't think it was interesting. And there were some really shitty things, awful things happened, but that's when I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I want to know what happened on this set.
Yeah.
I'm hearing all kinds of stories.
They've clearly been trying to silence it up because you've gotten more specifics from the more outspoken actors.
Ray Fisher.
I couldn't even remember the kid's name, but
the cyborg actor
up and down.
And I don't know.
Apparently, Momoa kind of supported him in it without getting specific. He was acknowledging something went on there that. I don't know.
We don't know what the truth is. That's the problem. We don't know if it's as bad as Ray Fisher was saying.
All we can say by inference is something must have happened.
Because I know Gal Gadot had
she
something
wasn't too happy about it either. Yeah.
I remember when I first reported on that article, Gal Gadot says, I applaud Ray Fisher for revealing his truth, and you got really upset with that
Well,
expression.
I
his
really have a
truth.
problem with that particular phrase. It's like, no, he didn't say anything. He made accusations, didn't bring the receipts. You kind of
Yes.
need to bring the receipts if you're doing that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, it's possible that something bad did happen, but he was exaggerating, or maybe it's like maybe Joss Whedon had a bad enough reputation that he could say what he wanted about him. I don't know what
And it
happened.
also doesn't do any good to, I support him saying his truth. Well, why don't you say something? Why don't you speak up? You're the big name star who probably could get away with it.
Wonder Woman 84 is coming out, and they pay me a big amount. I don't know. Actually, no. I like Gal Gadot, so I don't know. And to be fair, for all the complaining, especially about Batman versus Superman, I didn't think Affleck was a bad Batman, at least as far as if he'd been given like a proper script to work with. I think he probably would have been a decent Batman, like an older Batman. You know, I think he was a better Batman than he was a Daredevil. I'll put it to you that way. Okay,
that's for sure.
His return in Aquaman 2 then was a huge surprise. After then, he gave up starring and directing his own version of the Batman. So it looks as though Affleck's Batman Bruce Wayne will be back, and how he fits in the upcoming Aquaman sequel remains to be seen. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom stars Jason Momoa as Aquaman alongside Amber Heard, Willem Dafoe, Patrick Wilson, Dolph Lundgren, Yaha Abdul Mateen II, Tamira Morrison, and Nicole Kidman. James Wan directed the film based on a script by David Leslie Johnson McGordick and Jason Momoa. Okay. I don't know. We have three Batmans.
I know. And
that Warner Brothers has.
It's getting to the point where, regardless of what you think about any one individual Batman, they need to friggin' pick one and stick to it.
If we count the Joker, Bruce Wayne, as another Batman, that's 4. The little Bruce Wayne from that movie. And part of me thought, was this going to grow up to be the one of these Batman that we see later, or is he just? I'm assuming the Michael Keaton Batman in the Batgirl movie is the one from the Batman '89, right?
I wouldn't make no assumptions at this point, to be honest with you. I mean, honestly, I don't even know what to say about some of this. I think they're hedging their bets. I think they haven't decided yet. What
do you mean they haven't decided yet?
Yeah.
Pick one and stick with it.
It's about
none of this is making any sense. Notice we can't get another Superman. Not that I'm attacking Henry Cavill, but I kind of want to forget about the Man of Steel.
Again, this is something I had said a long time ago. It's like they have one foot in and one foot out of the Snyderverse. Shit or get off the pot already, people.
Yeah, do they want to stay with it or do they not?
I mean, either say yes, we're going to streamline this and we're going to, do a better, bigger, better, Snyderverse, or no, we're going to fucking reboot and start all over again.
I heard the Batgirl movie may not happen now. Have they shot it though?
I thought
is it in the can? I don't know.
When we know more about that, we'll definitely bring it to you, but I had not heard that. That's
Amber Turd will probably be replaced by Zaslav has his way, since he is the one at the top. Probably it makes sense just to
everybody thinks for sure she's going to be.
They're sticking Batman in there. Maybe the scenes with her are going to have Batman in it now. I don't know.
But remember, this Batgirl, whatever movie was meant to be a jumping off point for. Was this going to be related to the Patterson Batman? I don't know. See, they've got a real Batman problem. I actually did a video a while back about that.
Here's what I thought. At first, I thought, would the Patterson Batman be released to related to Joker, and then they would end up having Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker in that universe. Maybe that could be the backstory behind the Patterson Batman movie. But I don't think that's the case.
I don't know.
I don't know. So the Joker is in its own universe.
Look, I'm assuming
you have Batfleck. You have.
I may be giving them way too much credit, but my assumption is that they have a plan and they were going to use Flashpoint to enact it. But But that brings up a whole other bales and bales of problems. So I don't even know what to say.
I think
I
there've
have
been bales
no
and bales of cocaine over there in the executive meetings.
They
about
might be
this
doing
stuff.
better if that's what they were doing. I think what they're actually coked up on is stupidity. They have not a plan at all.
I don't know, but if you like the Ben Affleck Batman, he'll be in Aquaman too. It may be the best movie that character will be in. I don't know.
Oh God.
I'm burned out, man. They're burning me out on this stuff. Let's see. Troy agreed. DC needs to remove all problematic actors in the Snyder content and start anew. I don't want Cavill as Superman, but they need to recast and hire a solid team for the Superman.
See,
well, I've said that you could keep the same actors and just maybe start anew. Like you don't have
and
to
that
get a Gal
that's
Gadot.
exactly it. They
Yeah.
could absolutely, they could literally reboot the entire Snyderverse and keep some of the same actors and drop out some other ones. They really could.
Like,
if they were clever
like-
and they thought it through. But as I'm hearing a lot of people pointing out, you like Cavill, do you? If they do decide to reboot, he's a little old to go back and play, the same character he played back in Man of Steel.
Well, don't do another origin story. Have him already be. This is another thing that bothers me about Superman movies. Just have him already be an established superhero.
Yeah,
at this
the
point.
way to go
you
about
don't have
it really
to do
was,
all these origins.
Superman Returns was the right mindset for a Superman reboot. Problem is, it just wasn't that great an execution.
Like you can introduce new villains, but of course, what's the established villain? Lex Luthor. He's always gone up against Lex Luthor.
And it's fine to keep him in the background, but he doesn't always have to be the main one.
No, he doesn't. He could be in jail at this point. Maybe Superman, maybe he finally got arrested and put away, and then maybe Superman's dealing with another crisis or something,
Exactly.
and that's what they could do. And another villain, and he could be a background character. You're right. He doesn't have to be the main villain in the movie because, frankly, maybe. I like Lex Luthor as a Superman villain, but you can do other villains too.
Exactly.
Disneyland removes Walt Disney's pro-America welcome speech from the 67th celebration. The grandfather clock is ticking. That statue is coming down.
No kidding.
The statue with him and Mickey Mouse. I'm sorry.
You're right.
There's going to be a day where they remove Walt Disney from the park. I know it's going to happen. That'll be the final. That will. I keep saying it'll be the final nail, but
I think you should.
How long before Disney himself is not problematic?
I agree, but maybe you should kind of fill everyone in on what we're talking about.
Yeah, I have an article from Bounty in the Comics. I have took a few paragraphs. Okay, Disneyland recently celebrated the 67th anniversary of the park's opening date in 1955. Noticeably missing, however, was the speech that the founder Walt Disney made, which is viewed as pro-American in its messaging. The quote was removed was Walt saying the following: "To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be the source of joy and inspiration to all the world." Oh,
It's interesting that they see that as pro-American, since he doesn't really say anything specifically about America.
He's just saying that Disneyland dedicated ideas. He's saying that Disney. He's saying that he's hoping that America will be a source of joy and inspiration to the world. I mean, maybe that's pro-American. I don't think it's anti-world in any respect. It's they are making. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless. There's nothing. I'm reading this speech and I'm like, I remember when people used to talk like this and think like this back in the day. I mean, people were looking to the future.
Well, the real problem is that we have a generation of people that really want to undermine everything. They want to. I keep saying it. It's first world problems. You give people enough, money and time, and they get fat, and they start, philosophizing about, bull crap, and gender identity, and all this bullshit crap that the rest of the world just doesn't have the fucking time for. They're too busy trying to figure out where their next meal is going to come from. You know,
I had an image of Emperor Nero on the throne playing his fiddle and stuff. That's reminding me of, and let's burn down
again,
Rome so I can build
I
Neropolis.
keep saying this. There's so many people out there that keep saying, well, Bob Chapek, he's against all this, and he just fired Rice, and he's going to fire so many other. It's like, that's great. That's wonderful. I love to hear all about what he's going to do and all the 4D chess that he's playing. But all I see actually happening is the continuous outcry from the woke and the bullshit and the Baymax buying tampons for the little girl and the gay couple in Lightyear and get rid of Walt Disney's pro-America speech because boo America. And it's like, I'm fucking sick of it. And clearly most parents are sick of it too, and Disney stocks continue to fucking plummet. So that's great to hear what Bob Chapek's eventually gonna do. Maybe he better fucking do it before Disney goes bankrupt.
But this is at the parks. I thought this was his specialty. Like, this is what he ran for a while. Why is this going through?
It's the parks and it's the movies and it's every other aspect. Disney's dying, folks. We got to take it, you got to face facts. And I constantly see these know-nothings on socialist media typing at their keyboard, Disney's too big to fail. This doesn't matter to them, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, really? There's a lot of too big to fail companies that don't fucking exist anymore. Remember companies like Pan Am?
Goldman Sachs?
Yeah.
Let me read something to you, though. The rest of it goes, last year it was rumored by insiders of the Walt Disney Company would slowly be phasing out its founder from their history with the belief that they would attack him as an istophobe, as we'd like to say.
Yeah.
As Disney scooper WDW Pro explained last year, there's a concerted effort brewing, and that effort is to besmirch the man who founded the company. Sully him enough, covered the deceased genius with enough filth, and you could justify shuffling off his legacy down the road. It won't be this year, it won't be next year, but Walt's gotta go to get into China truly. Walt Disney had been a major sore spot historically for progressives, given Walt's staunch anti-communist views during the 1930s and 40s. Walt Disney vocally opposed communism, was a leading figure that prompted an investigation into communist agitators in Hollywood during the labor dispute in 1941. And the article goes on to more historical stuff about Walt Disney. But yeah, I'm telling you, I remember couple summers ago when people were tearing down statues, and I'm thinking it's only a matter of time before they're going to make a public display in that park and take it down that Walt statue holding onto Mickey's hand. It's going to happen. They will. They don't like him. He's basically an embarrassment now to people running the company.
Again,
now.
We have people that all they know how to do is destroy the things that are actually successful that people want to make it as miserable a fucking world as possible. So, if you want to destroy your company, keep doing this kind of bullshit, Disney. Go for
it. We can't have nice things.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Here's the big thing about the ads thing, too. Dems fume at Disney's Hulu for blocking ads on abortion guns January 6th.
When this one came out, we had a lot of those people coming out saying, see, now Bob Chapek is asserting, and they're getting out of the politics business and blah, 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 right?
Well, I have a question here, and this is a question of how streaming services work. Now, I'm assuming Hulu has a pay option and a commercial pay option
right.
for
That's
less
my
money.
Understanding, yes.
And I guess people run commercials. You get like a fabric softener commercial or something. Maybe it's always been the policy of these streaming services not to have political ads. That's something you would get on regular television, correct? But not where you get them all the time on YouTube, obviously. But Yeah, I don't know.
But they're starting to go to different tiers where, you can, pay less and you get some commercials, or you could pay more and get 0 commercials or whatever.
So get this. The Disney-backed streaming service Hulu is refusing to run political ads on central themes of Democratic midterm campaigns, including abortion, guns, and the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, prompting fury from the party's candidates and leaders. The streaming service, popular among younger voters, which has a policy against running content deemed controversial, is like other digital providers, is not being bound by the Communications Act of 1934, a law that requires broadcast television networks to provide politicians equal access to the airwaves. The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, okay, a bunch of word salad here. Okay, the Hulu ads never ran while the others did. Okay, Hulu censorship of the truth is outrageous, offensive, and another step down a dangerous path for our country. The executive directors of the 3 committees, Christy Roberts, Tim Persico, and Noam Lee, said in a statement provided to the Washington Post, voters have the right to know the facts about MAGA Republicans' agenda on issues like abortion, and Hulu is doing a huge disservice to the American people by blocking voters from learning the truth about the GOP record of denying these issues from even being discussed. The party,
anyone who believes that campaign ads are in any way truth are too dumb to live.
Well, here's another question too. If the Democrats can run ads, and I assume the Republicans or any other political party can run ads as well, because they can't allow one party to do it and then say, oh, no, the other party can't, right? If this is going to become a policy. I think they just were not wanting to get in the fray, and I don't think it's a violation of the Communications Act, because it's funny. I remember when one of my first comp classes in college, I think it was like first or second semester, I had to do a report on, I think, a government agency. So I did the FTC, because television always interested me, and I learned some interesting things, like the fact that airwaves, like the stuff at least that you get over the air, it's considered. They think they determined back in the 30s, or whatever, that this is public property. So that's why you can't air things that are too controversial by certain standards. Like, that's why you have all the standards and practices for network television shows about certain things you can show at certain hours. You know what I'm saying? And I assumed that the same went for political ads. All political parties that can have it, like, equal ad time or something like that. So I don't know. So now of course we get this other story.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Don't spend too much time on this, because we're going to undo all of it with this next article.
And
this was literally like the next day or 2 days.
But later. I was, based on what I was saying, though, if Hulu is not bound to the Communications Act, does Hulu have to give equal say to any other political parties, or do they just have to go, or can they just go with what the Democrats want them to put on their station? Do they actually have to give the Republicans a voice? They may not be bound by any law to do that. Think about
it. I'll get into a little bit more.
I'm not saying it's fair, okay,
because this plays into it directly.
All right. So Disney says Hulu will now accept political ad issues after early rejection of Democrats' abortion and gun spots. Okay. Hulu will now accept political issue ads, a change in the policy of the streaming platform after Democrats chided the company for rejecting spots on abortion and guns. In a statement, the Walt Disney Company, parent of Hulu, said, after a thorough review of ad policies across its linear networks and streaming platforms over the last few months, Disney is now aligning Hulu's political advertising policies to be consistent with the company's general entertainment and sports cable networks and ESPN Plus. Hulu will now accept candidates and issue advertisements covering a wide spectrum of policy positions, but reserves the right to request edits or alternative creative in alignment with the industry standards. Hulu had previously had a policy prohibiting ad content that takes a position on a controversial issue of public importance, e.g. social issues. It would accept spots for political candidates and campaigns, but they were to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, which I think actually sounds rather reasonable. The executives, directors of the Democratic Governors Association, the American Senatorial Campaign Committee, and Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee blasted the company after Hulu refused to stream ad spots on abortion and guns. So this is where you don't want to have the, what was it, that famous ad campaign with the little girl playing with the flowers and the bomb goes off or something.
Right. Exactly.
Is that I don't know, and that just I don't know. It looks like they buckled. That's what this is sounding like to me. What do you think?
Well, here's my take on it. Okay, so let's back up. You got the one side claiming they have an obligation, under the whatever Communications Act, so forth. You gotta, put out the truth. You gotta whatever. I don't know about that. As you pointed out, if they play campaign ads for both sides, are they not meeting that obligation? But they want to stay away from politics in general, right? But here's the other side of it. They also have a fiduciary responsibility to their stockholders. And by passing up on ad revenue, they could, in theory, open themselves up to a lawsuit for breach of fiduciary responsibility. That's my personal speculation about why they're doing it. But it also flies in the face once again of the whole we're going to stay out of politics. Oh, wait, we'll cave to politics.
Remember when the time when Disney used to remain apolitical?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't on Disney Plus, though. I mean, it is on a Disney-owned streaming Hulu, which I think they got with the 20th Century Fox acquisition. Hulu
doesn't matter. It's owned by Disney. It is Disney for all intents and purposes. You're really splitting hairs if you say otherwise.
Well, sure, but what I'm trying to say is, though, a lot of people who may not even be big fans of the Disney brand will still subscribe to Hulu, because Hulu, I think, was outdoing Netflix pretty well. Like, it's becoming like the go-to. People
it's definitely
get Hulu now,
and it's definitely becoming that way more and more as Netflix dies.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that last week.
Think about what Hulu has. Hulu has ABC, Fox, FX channel. It has a ton of movies, original content on there. It has a lot of stuff on there. In some ways, it's probably filling in the void that Netflix used to have, because Netflix used to show old network sitcoms and stuff.
True.
Hulu can do that now because they have access to basically Fox and ABC. Those are two networks, and they have access to the cable station that Fox own. I mean, they own a lot. Disney, you have to understand, the thing about Disney is they own a lot. Like, I was talking up that William Shatner show, which is on Discovery Plus and both Discovery Plus and Netflix. That makes no sense. But apparently, it's produced by the History Channel, which is owned by Disney.
Yep.
Disney owns a lot of stuff. So sometimes, even when you think you're not supporting Disney,
well, and this is the kind of thing that these dingbats on the internet, you don't realize how much Disney knows. Yeah, I fucking do know how much.
They're a monopoly is what the problem is.
That's like saying you don't know how much territory Rome spans. Rome fell because it got too big.
Disney is all over the place. But let me see. Hulu has a limited commercial option that is cheaper, so no commercials. Yeah, that's what I figured. Someone in my household does subscribe to Hulu, and there's some good stuff on Hulu. That's how but it's just, it's.
I mean, there's the Orville for frick.
Yeah, Orville's on Hulu because it's an old, it's a Fox network show.
Ned and I've been watching Orville this season. Oh my God, it's good. It is the best thing on TV. It really is. It is right up there with the best seasons of
Star Trek,
Next
right?
Gen. Yeah.
I was really horrified when Disney bought 20th Century Fox. I did not want them getting their hands on that company. A lot of movie projects that were in the works got canned. They were going to do like a Redwall series that was in the works at 20th Century. That's gone. A lot of people lost their jobs, and in my opinion, that was kind of a hostile takeover. I mean, maybe not on paper. I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like our elected officials are not paying attention when these companies keep getting bigger. And you know what else I've learned from another video? Apparently, BlackRock owns 10% of the Walt Disney Company. Did you know that?
That does not surprise me at all.
And I think some people have argued a lot of these a lot of the political pushing, especially on social, is from BlackRock. That's what I've heard.
Yep.
Because really, if you think about it, Disney, I mean, they wanted a squeaky clean image, which isn't good for everything, but they weren't getting as much with the agenda stuff, I don't think, till about 10 years ago, was it? I mean,
yeah,
it was just, I think that's when it started creeping in. But I don't know. Someone probably has a better timetable than I do about this.
But
what
you were talking about Netflix. You want to go ahead and get into Netflix?
Oh, this is just funny. Would it be great if China were to someday own Disney? You know what?
They're gonna own Disney China, just the way Russia owns Russia McDonald's. They just change the name and just keep the business going because because McDonald's decided to pull themselves out. It's going to be the same thing happening in China.
So here we go. This is, you and I may have a different take on this story, but that's fine. We can have a mini argument, maybe. Okay.
I doubt we have as much disagreement as to have an argument about it, but we'll see.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. There was a big hullabaloo online recently. This is a revised article clarifying things, then we'll go into the original articles, okay? Stranger Things writers set record straight about rumor old episodes are re-edited. So here we go. The writers of the widely popular Netflix series Stranger Things is setting the record straight when it comes to a rumor previous episodes are being re-edited. Earlier this week, British GQ published the article Netflix retroactively editing Stranger Things is the beginning of a dangerous TV trend where they base their information on an internet rumor that a scene in the show's first season was retroactively edited, Deadline reported. According to GQ, the scene rumor swirled around being re-edited was when Jonathan Byers photographed Nancy Wheeler without her knowledge. Prompted by the mass attention the story received, the writers of the hit show laid those rumors to rest on Wednesday. It is hilarious that an article bashing the show for retroactively editing a scene based off a false TikTok rumor has now had to retroactively edit their own article. Oops, the Stranger Things writer said in a tweet. This in turn had GCO issue a correction. Deadline reported. Correction. A previous version of this article incorrectly stated that a season 1 episode of Stranger Things had been edited retroactively to remove a shot of Jonathan photographing Nancy while she was changing. The publication posted at the bottom of the GQ article. The show has been a massive hit for Netflix, according to Nielsen. 7.2 billion minutes were streamed during the week of May 30th to June 5th. Now, I'm going to get to this next article because it ties right into this. But if you know that plot element from that story, that actually couldn't really be edited out, right? Because it plays an important part of that episode. Basically, I think Jonathan ends up getting accused of being a pervo by the mean popular kids. That was a big thing. So they're not going to, even though I think he took it by accident, right? But he still developed the picture. That was a thing that happened. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the first season,
But here's what really kind of bothers me about that whole thing is that the Netflix people were all like, really ironic that you get you're giving us grief about changing stuff, and now you got to change your article. There's a big fucking difference there. We're talking about a news outlet that got something wrong and then printed a retraction. That's what the news is supposed to do in all responsibility. They're supposed to report, and if they make a mistake, they print a retraction. That's not a change. That's not anything retroactive. It's acknowledging your mistake. It's very different when you make a piece of art and then you George Lucas the fucker.
All right, so let's get into it with the original GQ article has been re-edited, so I will read that now.
Yeah.
Okay. When the Xbox 360 was introduced back in the mid-2000s, it brought with it an epochal shift, consumer-friendly, broad online connectivity, boasting global multiplayer party chats, and the ability to download new games. With this digital tidal wave came the console bug patch. Less than a megabyte update allowing developers to clean and refine code well after their product had shipped. Call of Duty fans could complain about gun balance, for
sounds
example.
like what I was ranting about at the top of the show.
Well, I'm not against people coming in and fixing glitches and things. In fact, I remember back when I had a PlayStation 3, there was a I still do, it's just packed up because I don't use it at the moment, but the PlayStation 3, remember when they came out with 3D Blu-ray players for if you wanted to get 3D movies at home and if you had a 3D TV? They had a patch for the PlayStation 3 which had a built-in Blu-ray player that turned it into a 3D Blu-ray player.
Huh.
Kind of fascinating that they were able to do that with a software update that in some ways changed the hardware. I always did kind of fascinating.
But obviously what I was talking about was a game should work correctly before you go to market with it.
I understand that. And
On the rare occasion you make a mistake, I will accept you got to
no.
do a patch. But
we are past those days. And as I said before, Japanese companies tend to be better at trying to release a final product.
yeah,
A lot of the, at least I'm not gonna say a lot of the bigger Western developers like EA and stuff. Like I told you, I was hearing horror stories about what they did with Battlefield last year, and
they're
just
cutting corners.
yeah,
Let's face it.
and yeah, and to be fair, even in the sixth generation, you get bugs in games, but you know your game might crash once in a blue moon if you did some weird
what
thing
I
in a
find
weird spot,
interesting
you know.
is
But
some of the things that I see get patched are things that most gamers wouldn't even freaking notice. And it's like, how long has that been there and we never even noticed it? Like I think I mentioned in Star Trek Online, there was this one little place in the terrain in the Klingon first city. If you go into this corner and walk all the way into the corner, you'll fall through the floor. And then you have to beam out and beam back in. And it was a known bug. Nobody cared because it's a corner that no one really would go into in any natural, but just for the sake of finding the glitch, going around the corner into the dark corner, push yourself into the corner and fall through the floor. It's funny. Well, they patched it. And I'm like, okay, good. You patched it. Whatever. Silly little thing. You know,
I mean,
and I could totally see someone missing that in QA. You're running all over the first city, going to all the places you're supposed to go. You never think to go down the corridor to the corner. And
point is, as games became more complex, the idea of them having more, there's more, they're more complex 3D worlds now instead of just like 2D planes, and so now it's becoming like there's going to be more glitching, and that of course became apparent later on. The trouble is, they used to just do better QA.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I remember a horror story about Batman Arkham Origins, which was like a prequel game to the Arkham City games, where there were some noticeably bad glitches in that game, and people were complaining to the developers, and they said, well, we're too busy working on the DLC right now. We can't get to them. Maybe later or something. I'm thinking, wait a minute. You just released the product. You need to fix it.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about the DLC that I have to pay more for.
I am
for
not
your already broken game.
See, this is where the gamers have to say, as a community, fuck your DLC. We will not be downloading it. We will not be paying for it. You fix the game first.
Yeah, I mean, they do complain. I mean, there have been complaints, and if this happens long enough, people just give up on the series or the studio, and then they go under. I mean, I think
we're getting a little off on philosophy, though. We should probably bring it back.
Let's bring it back to TV and movies.
Yeah.
But alas, they say that innovation is often fueled by laziness, and now even the biggest gaming studios could offer the day one patches. Okay. Given the relative permanence of TV and film, you'd think the screen industries would remain unscathed, but it seems the streaming era has opened that door. In an interview with Variety in early June, Stranger Things creators Matt and Ross Duffer discussed their plans to George Lucas retrospectively edit, as has been the Star Wars progenitor's unpopular bent with later editions of the original franchise trilogy, a moment in Stranger Things Season 2, owing to a fan-identified plot hole. On 26 July, the show's writers distanced themselves from this assertion via their official Twitter account. No scenes from previous seasons have ever been cut or re-edited, and they never will be. It's a simple mistake of an expansive series costing $30 million an episode. Really, the creative team set an episode of Stranger Things for on March 22nd, forgetting that it had been established as Will Byers' birthday in the earlier season. The error is mostly anodyne, singularly offensive to the most hand-wringing appendants. It's giving genius at work, and certainly not something that needs to be fixed after the fact. The given reason for the potential tweak, they didn't want the fans to feel sad or to be mad at them for their negligence. We have George Lucas things also that people don't know about. Matt Duffer told Variety later that month, declining to touch upon the specific alterations made to previous seasons, a long-standing rumor that a shot of Jonathan photographing Nancy from the bushes. Okay, yes. Later in a tweet from the Stranger Things writers, no scenes from the previous seasons have ever been cut or re-edited. The tweet read, and they never will be. Editing a continuity error after the fact would be fairly innocuous, if not for the implied slippery slope. No one can ever convince me, a rational person, that anyone aside from a subset of weirdos online would actually care. But hey, said tweaks bode no dramatic change. And if this wasn't a news story, the vast majority of viewers simply would have noticed. Season 1 came out 6 years ago, and after all, it's not as though most watchers are tracing back character beats like an archivist. He doesn't know much about Star Trek fans.
Right?
Okay. A show like Stranger Things, the most watched series on Netflix in the English language, boasts huge cultural cachet. If the Duffers were to do it, who's to say other creators wouldn't follow suit? One day patches might become as commonplace in screen media as they are in video games, and that is a truly worrying precedent for consumers and the integrity of art alike. And yeah, I did watch that YouTube video you sent me as well. Now, in fact, I'll post a link to it if you all want to check him out.
Yeah. Did you drop the YouTube link?
I'm going to do it right now.
Oh, I got it. I
can do it. I got
No
it.
worries.
I got it.
I'm
But
going
you
to
gonna
do it
do
too.
Well, I'll just let you do it instead of me.
I want to make sure we do that because fan scene is in fact I brought the first article to his attention. He did a video on it. Then when the second one came out, he did one on that one. That's the second one there. And he specifically pointed me out and a couple other YouTubers for bringing it to his attention. And fan scene will be on my Friday night last call, not this Friday, which is my anniversary, but the next Friday.
Okay, so this is about retroactively editing a television show. I've seen this happen before with HBO shows.
Yep.
Do you remember The Sopranos?
Yes, I do.
At the end of one season, you have an undercover FBI agent becoming Adriana's friend. And I believe the original actress cast for the part was Veruca Salt. You may know from several movies.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
For some reason, she didn't work out, or she didn't show up in season 2. And they cast a new actress in the part. I can't remember her name, but she was later on shows such as Criminal Minds. But she played the same part. When I got when I looked at it on streaming, or maybe when I got my Blu-ray set or something, I did check out to see if that last episode from the prior season had Veruca Salt in that role, if it was changed. And they did change it. Instead, it's the exact same scenes, but with the new actress that replaced her the following season.
Wow.
Do I necessarily have a problem with that? No, because continuity, it makes sense. She was only in it. Like, if she had been on a whole season, that'd be one thing, but she was only in a couple of scenes. And they did use the new actress for that part the following season. I would still say keep that extra scene maybe as an added feature, like a deleted scene on the disc. You can look at it. But that's why they did retroactively change that, because I remember back in the day seeing a different actress in that part, and then of course I did research on it, and then later on they actually changed it on the actual show for that episode of that season.
I mean,
what do you think?
What it comes down to is, I think that we're getting into a really weird time with streaming, right? You know how I feel about physical media. Own physical media, so they can't change it, they can't take it away from you. And yet we're starting to even see it happen between the time something comes out at the theaters and the time you get the DVD.
What happened with Cats? Weren't they redoing effects?
Cats happened while it was in the theaters. They literally released it unfinished. Okay. I mean, talk about everything we were saying about the games, right? They released it fucking unfinished, and the people that went to see it opening night and the opening weekend saw this piece of shit, started bitching about it. So that following week, they updated the special effects and the CG and stuff, which still sucked balls, but was definitely better. Look, I'm sorry. There is no defense. I don't care if it's a video game, a movie, a streaming show. Get your shit together before you go to market.
My argument isn't the fact whether it should happen. My argument was, though, that it's been happening even prior to Stranger Things. People have been doing this.
Oh, yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
And in the case of The Sopranos, I understand why they did it. They wanted to keep it consistent with the new actress they hired for the following season. There is
a defense to be made there, and I agree with you on that. But my question then to that is, where does it end?
Yeah.
What happens if after 3 seasons they have to change actors? Do they go back and digitally put in the new actor for all the previous 3 seasons?
Well, no, then you don't do that, obviously. See, it's a slippery
Where
slope.
does the line, where do you draw the line? I
I'm very
say
cur-
you do what we've always done. The actors changed. You live with it.
I'm
You
very
know?
curious if they did that with Game of Thrones with the guy who was stuck in the tree that what's his name went to see. Because Max von Sydow played his character for the full season, but they had a different actor playing him at the very end of that last season, the prior season. I wonder if they redid it with Max von Sydow or if they just left it alone. They probably left it alone with Game of
Well,
Thrones.
and David
They
is
ended up
pointing
switching actors all the time.
David's pointing out, and I'm sure I would have thought of this too, but taking out Daryl Hannah's butt and splash.
That's BS. Yeah, that's. I know there was also controversy over a Back to the Future thing put on Netflix where they took out the Ooh La La magazine when the guy was looking at the cover. But to be fair, they said they had gotten a wrong print from, I guess, a Middle Eastern market for that movie. So that's what I'd heard at least.
Whatever.
And that's why that scene was cut, and then they put.
They are. What you do is, and so I would say, to your thing about The Sopranos, when you go to DVD, you put it out in the original way, and then you put a DVD extra if they want to watch it with the new actress in those scenes.
You know, it's interesting. My sister, I think, has the original DVD releases of The Sopranos, not the newer Blu-rays. I wonder if the original DVD of that season had the original actress in that scene. I don't know. See, this is what I'm curious, because I'm just saying Netflix has not been the first one to do this.
This is something that Fanscene has talked about before. Not only get physical media, but get it as soon as you can. Because subsequent editions of it may be changed.
I have another question too. Has anyone in the chat seen the movie Iron Man 3? Have you seen Iron Man 3, Troy Pacelli?
I probably have. Can you remind me what the basic plot
It's
line
the
was?
third Iron Man movie.
Obviously.
Okay. I liked it a lot. It's the one with the fake Mandarin in it, played by Ben Kingsley, and there are explosions happening around the world, and he shows up on like the internet, taunting the president.
Oh yeah, okay. I did
you had those with those like anonymous style videos. I know some people don't like it, but I had great fun with Iron Man 3. I remember seeing a scene when I was in the movie theater, and I know I saw this scene, and for some reason I have not seen it when I watched it on DVD or on streaming. Here's the scene. I believe the Ben Kingsley character, who turns out he's just an actor pretending to be a terrorist known as the Mandarin, he goes and says, "Oh yes, the guy who hired me, he did really good. I was on drugs. I was like the toast of the British stage. Then I ended up on the street and I was on drugs." And then Tony Stark says, "Okay, so this guy helped you. He took you off the street. He got you off the drugs. No, he gave me better drugs." And that got a huge chuckle from the audience. I remember that scene.
Yeah.
And for the life of me on rewatches, either I'm not paying attention or they just took that line out of the movie. He gave me better drugs. Okay.
And
it wouldn't shock me, especially with Disney taking over the Marvel license, if maybe they did a cut between theatrical release and video if they cut that out. I don't know.
This is why I say own physical media, even if you have to make that physical media yourself.
Yeah.
Preserve the version that you originally saw, if for no other reason, for posterity.
I need to research this to make sure I'm not going nuts here, because I keep thinking it's there, but I never hear it on rewatches, and I know I heard it in the theater.
Real quick, let's say hi to Chris P, because I don't think we said hi to him earlier.
Chris P, he's seen Iron Man 3. Chris P, did you see it in the theaters? Do you know the scene I'm talking about, or am I just imagining things?
Actually, all of y'all that mentioned Auditor Dread 2,
did any of you remember that line of dialogue? Is it on the home video release? Because I don't remember hearing it. I'm thinking that this was a cut that they've just kind of swept under the rug, but I could be completely wrong.
And I'd like to ask,
I could be having a boomer moment. Okay,
I'd like to ask a favor of everybody listening right now. Because I believe that you will do as we asked, if you will please go and check out that Fanscene YouTube video about this topic we just talked on. When you go over there, like it, and then leave a comment and tell him we sent you, so that he knows we're plugging for him.
There you go. I posted it again. See, I got the post now.
I said we should both post it because I
There you go.
really do want to support him, and he'll be on my channel in a couple weeks.
Okay, I think that line is still there, at least on my Blu-ray. I can imagine it may still be. Maybe I just keep missing it on my rewatches, but I got to hunt for it now because it was.
If you keep falling asleep at the same point, you're gonna keep.
It's possible. Maybe it's like missing time.
Right?
The aliens abduct me at that
exact
2-second interval, and I miss that line each time. So yeah, but I don't know, and it's kind of scary though. Something like that could happen. And like I said, a minor tweaking like replacing the actress, I actually agree with it on some respects. If it's something minor like on that Sopranos season, because it helps it go seamlessly. Because think about it, if you're watching it in repeats, you're going to go from the next episode to the next episode. It's going to be a completely different actress. You're going to be like, what happened there? Now, I can understand if they had a full season of the one actress, then they usually have to lay more groundwork, like saying, oh, remember such and such season when you did last year when you did this with this to indicate to the audience that, okay, this is that character, different actor playing.
Exactly.
Which happens, okay.
But
I remember Katie Sackhoff.
We dealt with it with Darren in Bewitched. We can handle these things,
Funny, yeah, Darren. Do you remember the two Darrens, right? Is that it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, aliens, man. Hey, the truth is out there. All right, what's next? Yeah, check out the video. Leave a comment. I'll try to do that at the other. I'll do that in the other stream too. Grand Theft Auto 6. Oh, everybody's screaming about this online.
Yep.
It's probably
that's why I figured we had at least talk about it.
I have to say I have the Grand Theft Auto games. I've never gotten too into them for whatever reason. I mean, they always look like great fun. I like watching the clips.
I have watched some clips from the regular gameplay.
Yeah.
But Netter and I have started watching Gray Still Plays.
Really?
He does a lot of yes, he does a lot of GTA 5 custom builds where people build like these parkour, tracks and stuff, and you got to drive up on the side of the wall and do loop-de-loops, and they're very, very difficult, and he obviously will do these very, very difficult things over and over and over again, and he limits it as much as he can in the editing, but and he swears and he curses and he goes, but I will not give up. This must be possible. And he gets through these crazy, ridiculous. Anyway, it's all custom stuff, but it's hysterical to watch this guy. Anyway, that's my most exposure to GTA 5.
Okay, yeah. Well, GTA 5 has been a very big game. Actually came out during the end of the 7th generation of consoles. Still going strong considering we're on the 9th. And they re-released it on 8th generation consoles, fully HD, like 1080p. Added some
my understanding is it's a very open world kind of thing, kind of like that Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that.
It is same company,
anywhere you want.
Same company. Really, I think the original Grand Theft Auto 3, I think, was one of the pioneers of the open-ended, what we call open world games now. I know Ocarina of Time, that was a big pioneer of it too back on the N64 days, but Grand Theft Auto, you could do, and it's based, of course, how I say video games have themes, right? In the old days, of course, Grand Theft Auto is the gangster movie. Right. You're a gangster, that's crime. It's what it's based on. Rockstar's long-awaited Grand Theft Auto 6 is still at least 2 years away, but being made under improved conditions. I didn't want to skip somebody, okay. An extensive new Bloomberg report has detailed. The report centers on changes within Rockstar since the company's public reckoning with crunch in 2018, when founder Dan Houser said his team had worked 100-hour weeks to finish Red Dead Redemption 2, and after various reports of the company frat house-style operation. Subsequent changes to working styles and benefits are part of an attempt to reinvent the company as a more progressive workplace, the report states, which extends to the content featured in its games. The report states that Grand Theft Auto 6 will include the series' first playable female protagonist as one of its lead characters, a Bonnie and Clyde-style duo where the woman is Latina. There's nothing about that line that says that's necessarily going to be woke or politically correct. I
think in the context of saying that we're going to be more progressive in our content, this is something we're doing, I think that means to imply that in and of itself is something they consider to be progressive. As
And
a
that's
game player,
fine.
I was going to say, as a game player, I don't really see that as being woke.
We've had plenty of female
There's
game
plenty of
protagonists in the
games,
past.
yeah, whether
Yeah.
it's Portal or
Tomb Raider,
which we'll talk about later,
Perfect Dark.
female, character, and you also open yourself up to the mods that are going to be put on
Metroid.
by some of these, some of these. But anyway, go on. I digress.
It also reiterates previously reported details, such as the game's map originally planned to feature a large swaths of North and South America being scaled back to make development more manageable, with a map initially focused on modern-day Miami, Vice City, and surrounding areas.
Let me real quick
that
ask
it will
you
expand on
a
over time.
clarifying question, because you know more about this game than I do.
I know a little bit more about the series. Yeah,
These
what's up?
big open worlds like this,
Yes.
can they can add on to the maps later on, right? I mean, if they create a city, they can add in later and later content, an attached city that you couldn't go to before, but now you can.
No. This is
No?
my. I don't know what they do with GTA Online, which is part of the Grand Theft Auto 5 package. You can spend money there. It's more like an online game. Perhaps they add to that. I don't know. I know for the main game, which was mainly narrative driven, you're stuck with the same city, but these cities are huge. Even in the original PlayStation 2 games, they were very large. A lot of ground to cover. They weren't so, and if I think the idea was that they keep adding stuff. Why not just make a new game? I know with Grand Theft Auto 4, they came out with expansions for it that you can either buy digitally or buy them as standalone releases on disc.
Mm-hmm.
And like they had one, but it took place in the same environment, the same city. But like one you could play as in the main game of Grand Theft Auto 4, you play a Russian gangster, but in the or Eastern European, I'm assuming is Russian. And then in the subsequent packs, one of them you could play as a member of a biker gang. That was like that's another,
I'm
another
just totally fascinated by these things because, like you said, there's so much ground to cover with so much detail. You can interact with almost all the objects. And my understanding is even they have like a certain amount of AI that governs the NPCs. They're living their lives in the background there and stuff.
It's possibly, especially, I don't know, like I said, I don't know much about the online game. They might be doing this with the online game. I know that, I think with this next one, what you're saying about making more parts of the city, adding some on, that will probably be a thing that will happen when this next one comes out.
I mean, on the one hand, I think that makes for wonderful immersive gameplay. On the other hand, it's another opportunity for things to just get broken.
Yeah. There's nothing inherently wrong with the female protagonist. The problem would be how she's written. Yes. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I know that I think I read a while back that Dan Houser was leaving, and I think he was the main writer in a lot of these games. And one thing I'll say about Grand Theft Auto, the series, it has excellent voice acting. They don't do some companies will do a one take and you're done for their voice acting.
And sometimes it sounds terrible.
Sometimes it sounds terrible. Like they'll get like well-known actors, like I think Peter Dinklage was in some series where they just did a one and done. He's a good actor, but they just it was just but I don't know about this new game. I have a bad feeling that I don't know. Let's not maybe don't say anything till the game comes out, but let's read what the rest of the article says. It also reiterates previously reported details such as the game. Okay, and unlike previous games, GTA 6 are said to avoid jokes which punch down to marginalized groups. See, this is where I get a little worried. The report also details. Here's the thing: everyone gets punched down in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
no one's unscathed. No group looks good in this game. Everyone is horrible. It's like how you thought people were bad characters. I don't want to say characters, but like a lot of the bad traits characters of The Sopranos had.
Yeah.
And Grand Theft Auto, can we dial that up to 11? Like, make it even worse.
Right.
It's like you had one guy who's living in a house, and this one degenerate guy who's part of the gang in 5, and I think he decides to go pee in the corner of the house instead of just using the toilet. That's how bad he was. Unlike previous games, though, Grand Theft Auto 6 developers have said the report also details Cops and Crooks, a planned cops and robbers style mode for GTA Online that Rockstar can in response to the police murder of George Floyd.
Oh,
That's
God.
the article saying that.
That's just great.
Okay. Other changes within Rockstar include a new flex time policy to immediately gain back extra time spent working, a narrower gender pay gap, and the hiring of additional producers to ensure workloads are better managed. Now, all of these changes have gone smoothly, and some staff reportedly expressed frustration at the extra time development has taken, the fact that GTA 6 remains several years away, despite being in production in some form since 2014. Rockstar, of course, has had Rockstar, of course, has the time and the money to make these changes in order to better develop its follow-up to the most lucrative video game of all time. Major new update for the highly profitable GTA Online went live this week, just days after Rockstar confirmed Red Dead Online had been sidelined. Yeah, apparently Red Dead Online, if you like the online version of it, I think they got rid of it. Because of course, what these games have is they have your single player mode that you play on your game, and you beat the game. But then they also have an online mode included. So that's now been a big part of these games. Obviously, back in the days before these consoles were really online, they didn't have those. I mean, PlayStation had online, but they didn't have Grand Theft Auto online back on PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 2 days.
Right.
I would maybe, if you are concerned if wokeness is being added, or political correctness, or whatever we're calling it these days, maybe wait for it to come out and see what people say. I know that people were nonplussed about the remastered Grand Theft Auto trilogy that came out last fall. There were a lot of complaints about it. Maybe it's not as bad as people were saying, but I didn't pick it up. So some people were liking the way the originals looked rather than these remasters. So.
Yeah, for me, I saw this article and I'm like, what they're saying about the content in and of itself doesn't sound terrible, but the way they're promoting it, the marketing behind it, sounds terrible.
And by the way, some gaming YouTubers I listen to, they're already chiding because, it's going woke because it's got a woman. You have a problem playing as a woman, so they're going to try to catch you in that trap. I think it's going to be about how she's written. There's no, I mean, it makes sense, especially if it's a Bonnie and Clyde style duo. Yeah.
It's kind of like what I hear, like from, like Carmen Pasha and so many others. It's like, if you have such a low bar for what you consider to be woke, that just having a female character in it is enough for you to call it woke, you're totally falling into their trap, and you're, castigating it. And you're fueling what they're saying about the istophobes,
as Matanui says, it's how she's written.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I mean, honestly, for most of these kinds of characters, if there is no romance element to it, if there is no, serious power dynamic, then it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. It could be written exactly the same way, and it's just a question of how you skin it and who your voice actor is. That's
what would have been funnier though if they had tried, like, wasn't there some old gangster movie maybe known as a gangster about the mother that ran her sons in a gangster group, like in the old days, but she was like an old granny type, and she was like really tough, and that would have been funny if it had been like one of these old, like an old granny type mother that was a criminal and having her sons do her bidding. That might have been interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake reportedly delayed indefinitely.
Yeah. Got some mixed feelings on this one.
We had talked about this. A report has claimed that Aspyr Media's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake has been put on hold following the abrupt firing of two senior developers. According to a report published in Bloomberg last night, July 26, Aspyr Media has placed development for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic on a definite hold. Bloomberg adds that earlier this month, studio heads at Aspyr told employees that the project had been paused while the studio looked for new contracts and development opportunities. Along with the indefinite delay, Aspyr reportedly fired the art director and design director for the remake. The report also alleges that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic has suffered an unsustainable development cycle. An anonymous source familiar with the project told Bloomberg that too much time and money had been put into making a demo of the game for Lucasfilm and Sony, with multiple developers said the game was more likely to be released in 2025 rather than Aspyr's projected 2022 launch. Yeah, I don't think so. Some staff at Aspyr said that Saber Interactive, which joined the project May 2022, could take over development completely. When Saber Interactive's participation was announced, Embracer board member Matthew Karch said that while the team was fully confident that the game was going to be fantastic, the scope of the project meant It will take time to complete. It's a massive, massive project, and massive products require a lot of effort and a lot of time to make good, especially when you're talking about a game already old, very old. We basically had to remake the game from scratch, added cards. None of this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
On the Xbox right now, you
Mhm.
can buy the original Xbox releases of Knights of the Old Republic, and they've been cleaned up. I haven't tried them out specifically myself, but I've heard they did a very good job on them. They re-released both of them on the Nintendo Switch recently too, and I'm sure if they could release them on the Nintendo Switch, they'll come to the PlayStation as well. I'm sure they're already on PC. You could just play the old games. They can clean up games from that generation and make them look pretty good. I'm not going to say they have all the bells and whistles of a modern game, but they look presentable and you can enjoy the old games.
So there's two ways to look at this. Okay. One is that they want to do more than just clean it up. They want to take it to a completely new modern game engine. That's what it seems to imply.
Redo the gameplay. I understand.
And if that's what they're saying, then yes, what they're saying is they literally would have to remake the game. Okay, fine. If that's what you're doing, then do it. The problem is we had brought you in previous talk about this, I don't know, months ago, talk about them changing stuff. They were taking this opportunity to change things in the canon of the story. And the fans started to react to that.
Think about some things. Is Knights of the Old Republic technically EU?
It is. You don't even need to change anything about it since it's not technically canon anyway.
Well, here's the thing that they did with Knights of the Old Republic, which I thought was smart originally. They wouldn't have to worry about canon since they said it like 1,000 years before Star Wars, the original Star Wars. I think they said it like a long time ago, like a long
But now
time
keep
ago.
in mind that we have people like Kathleen Kennedy and her crew that keep trying to push this High Republic. That's not dead, folks. I know a lot of people think it is, but it's still lingering because they're still trying to get that acolyte off the ground.
Do you think there are lines in the old Knights of the Republic game like, well, wait a minute, can't Jedi use healing power with the Force to heal a mortal wound? And then there's like,
I don't
what are you
know
talking about? And some guy in the game, some guy in the game says, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't.
I can imagine that line of dialogue being in the game, and they're like, can't people survive a lightsaber through the belly? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know about anything bad on the nose, but there was.
It'd be funny if it was though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Like written like back in the early 2000s. Someone had that.
Yeah, but there was talk about them changing some stuff up, and people are going, look, the only reason we want it is because this game we loved is kind of sacrosanct. We don't want you changing shit. You know?
Here's the tricky thing with remakes. I mean, they remade Resident Evil 2 a few years back to align it more with like the gameplay style, the third person style of Resident Evil 2, and they completely gave it a new lick of paint. Yeah. It's a completely new game, and the gameplay's different, while doing the best, I think, to honor the original title. So I think you can do a remake like that, and it's fine. And I thought that's what they were trying to do with KOTOR, but
I don't know, but it looks like it's dead.
Yeah.
And if you want a great commentary on it, go check out Eckhart's Ladder. He does kind of a rant. He doesn't usually do rant videos, but he kind of ranted about this because some of the same things we're saying here. He doesn't get into the canon changes or anything like that, but his frustration with, come on, guys, this shouldn't be so difficult. And you've made it difficult, and now it's dead. You know? So.
Okay. Well, yeah. So is he happy that it's dead?
No, he's not. He wanted this thing to come out, and apparently it's not now. So
I don't know. Let's be honest here. Lucasfilm is loaning out their licenses instead of just having their own game studio to make the stuff in house like they used to, because it got the games division. It was not in great shape, but it got completely gutted when Disney bought it out.
And you would think that under Disney, don't you think Disney would have an in-house? You know,
Disney used to have Disney Interactive, and they got rid of that as well. Yeah, they
fuck. You know, just when you think they're accumulating everything in the fucking world, you would think they would have a subdivision for everything they're getting rid of, and outsourcing, and then they have no control over it, no quality control for damn sure. this is a horrible, horrible business model. This is beyond any of the stuff that we talk about with the woke bullshit and the editing and the, all that crap. I'm just talking about simple dollars and cents business model.
Well, I remember when Last Jedi came out that there was a horrible problem with the second Battlefront game with those loot boxes and about how, technically this game that could be played by kids could end up running up the mom's credit card or,
Yeah.
trying to get Luke Skywalker as a playable character. And I think even Bob Iger, I could be wrong, I heard a rumor that he specifically called EA to say, what's going on with this?
Yeah.
I think they eventually had to take them out or scale them back. It was a
Doesn't
disaster.
surprise me.
It got overshadowed by all the controversy over The Last Jedi, but that was another big Star Wars controversy at the time. Tomb Raider film rights has Hollywood in feeding frenzy.
Yeah. This one's kind of surprised me a little bit.
Tomb Raider is in search of a new home. Studios and streamers are bidding to acquire the film rights to the property that for 9 years was at MGM and has now returned to producer Graham King and his GK Films. Opening bids were taken last week, but things have escalated into a bidding war. Alicia Vikander starred in the 2018 Tomb Raider reboot for MGM and GK Films that earned $275 million globally and was to have a sequel directed by Lovecraft Country creator Misha Green. That project, well, did I hear a grunt there?
Yeah.
Okay. That project is now dead, and the role is expected to be recast. The Wrap first reported the news. MGM, which recently was sold to Amazon, was involved with Tomb Raider thanks to a 2013 deal with GK Films, which acquired the film rights from video game maker Square Enix in 2011. MGM did not respond to a request for comment. Before Tomb Raider's time at MGM, Angelina Jolie starred in 2 features based on the characters and released by Paramount: Lara Croft, Tomb Raider 2001, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider: The Cradle of Life 2003. Those films brought in a combined $432 million worldwide. The property debuted in games in 1996. The bidding war comes as studios and streamers are hungrier than ever for known IP. One source describes the situation as a feeding frenzy. See, I get very cynical when I hear we want the known IP, and I'm like, it's great you want the known IP just for the sake that it's a known IP. What are you going to do with this known IP when you get it?
Yeah, are you going to treat it like a known IP and give the fans what they want, or are you going to destroy that fucking known IP by changing everything, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of getting a known IP?
Did you see the last Tomb Raider movie?
I haven't seen one since the first Angelina Jolie film.
Okay. Cradle of Life was fine. It's like the first one. It's her. She's fighting the Illuminati or something. It's oh, no, not the Illuminati. That was the villains in the first one. Who were the villains in the second one? I don't remember now. Okay, but I think Gerard Butler was in it. It was fine. It's like typical adventure movie fare. I really want the character of Lara Croft to be restored to the way she was in game form. She had a whole comic series put out by Top
You mean
Cow.
triangular boobs?
Having a nice figure, having the short shorts and the tank top and running around.
Women aren't for the male gaze anymore. Don't you know that?
Anyway, I actually bought I was happy when Top Cow re-released the Tomb Raider comics in like a bound hardcover a couple years ago, and I said, because I didn't get them the first time around, I was like, okay, I'm buying these now. I have all the Tomb Raider comics in hardback from back in the day, and I think maybe whoever is buying this may want to look at some of these comic book stories, and maybe some of those could be adapted. Not even so much even the games. Maybe look to those comic book stories. There's probably some good stuff there,
right? That
could make a pretty decent adventure movie. But you're not going to do that because that might mean paying somebody who's not some writer you just hired to pay peanuts for, because audiences will just see anything with Tomb Raider
which is ridiculous, because you're going to be paying someone else to make something brand new. It's whatever. Talk about wanting to go after the known IP. Go with what you know is successful.
Oh, yeah, Creative Lovecraft Country. Do with that what you will. Oh, wait. Oh, man, we dodged a bullet with a Tomb Raider being handled
exactly.
by Lovecraft Country.
Thank you. You guys just verbalized exactly what I was bemoaning. Exactly.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I didn't mind her as the actress playing Lara Croft. I thought the movie was a bit of a bore. That was
Look,
what I
I'll
came
be
away
honest.
with.
This is another one of those things, just like James Bond, just like so many other things. I don't have a problem with them recasting a role, especially when an actress starts getting, more and more expensive. If that
Yeah.
means we're not going to get any more movies or they're going to start cheaping out on everything else, screw it. Move on to a younger actress, someone who's up and coming who might be every bit as good.
You can cast an unknown in this part.
You should
Find
cast
someone
an
that
unknown.
I remember. This might turn into a good old days segment. I'll keep it brief though. I remember back in the old days before Square Enix bought Crystal Dynamics and owned Tomb Raider. Before that, they used to have models who would go around and be Lara Croft at conventions and other things and be
That
interviewed
makes perfect sense.
and they would play as her, and it was so neat seeing these beautiful women, various backgrounds, all playing Lara Croft at different points.
Dude, in the Tobey Maguire
history.
days, I had a buddy who did Spider-Man cosplay here. His costume was so good, he got hired by Marvel to go around the country, doing promotional stuff for Spider-Man. So, yeah, I
Lara
get
Croft. Croft was a voluptuous, sexy, smart, wisecrack action heroine. She was a fun, modern take on Indiana Jones. The new games miss on Lara's charisma because they're starting her out as a young college student, unsure of herself. There were aspects of the newer games I liked, at least at the first one. I don't really get around to playing the others, but I want my old Lara Croft back.
I love the idea of seeing a character coming up from, a novice to, you
And
get to follow that
was.
journey of becoming the hero, right?
Yeah.
We never got to see that with Indiana Jones. Indiana starts out, he's Indiana Jones right from the beginning.
I don't know though, but if you looked, I remember at Tomb Raider Legend, which was the second reboot they did in the 6th generation, where I think their plane is about to crash, and like Lara's mother is like holding on to her tightly, says, "Close your eyes, Lara," and she says, "I don't want to." And I'm like, well, maybe in some way she was always Lara Croft even as a child. You understand?
That's a good
was
point.
The thing.
You made an excellent point there.
So I don't know. I kind of want to see, these Renaissance men, maybe Renaissance women type characters. Just bring her back. Bring back the Tomb Raider.
Agreed.
Just make it good again. Make a good adventure movie that I can enjoy.
If you're
not going to do that. You're going to F it up again. That's
if you're going to pay for an IP, give us the IP. Don't change it. Otherwise, why bother buying the IP?
We don't even know where the IP is right now because now the game, we mentioned this, I think, a few weeks back, the game has now been sold to THQ Nordic. And I can't tell what THQ Nordic would do with Lara Croft.
And it's even worse now because now
they might do right by her. They might not. I don't know.
You're splitting the proverbial baby again, and you end up with a Friday the 13th kind of thing.
My advice is go back to, if they can, go back to the classic Lara Croft from the old PlayStation 1 days. Maybe look at some of those old Top Cow comics. Maybe there's something you can adapt there.
Yeah. That's
what I think I would do if I were them, but I'm not them, and they, they're much smarter people. I just don't think they're going to get her right again. I mean, those Angelina Jolie movies weren't perfect, but at least she still felt like she was Lara Croft in those.
True.
Moving on.
All right.
Okay, last article of the night.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to spend too much time on this.
This one kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, "What? Really? Okay."
You didn't want to do this one. I won't spend a lot of time on this. Basically, what happens when HBO has a reality division, and Discovery is now running HBO? Does HBO need that reality division?
No, they really don't. I don't think any division needs the unscripted division at all, ever. I think that reality TV is the worst thing to ever happen to, end quotes, entertainment. But that's just me, maybe.
Oh, you never watched Paradise Hotel?
No.
Anyone in the chat ever watched Paradise Hotel?
I've watched a couple cooking shows, but I don't like the competitions, You don't like the competition? It frustrates the fuck out of me when they have only so much time to get something done. It's like, you know what? That's not how restaurants work.
Hurry up, donkey!
Food is supposed to work.
You have Gordon Ramsay screaming like, "What are you doing?"
I will admit he's entertaining.
Oh,
and I used to like his British show where he'd go around, Britain, fixing, pubs and restaurants and stuff.
It's probably a lot more pleasant than the one I like. The one he did over here called Hotel Hell. I watch clips from it on YouTube sometimes, and just seeing him screaming like about the way some hotels are being run. Like,
I love the memes that came out. What are you? I'm an Indian sandwich. Louder! I'm an Indian sandwich.
oh, his latest thing is doing reviews of TikTok cooking videos and screaming at the people doing the TikTok cooking videos. That was something he had. Okay, but let's go on to this. What is going to happen to the unscripted department at HBO Max? It is a question that the TV industry has been asking before Discovery and Warner Media even tied the knot in April to become Warner Brothers Discovery. But after recently crossing the 100-day post-merger mark and approaching the company's second quarter earnings reveal next Thursday, the question is being raised more and more by those outside and within the David Zaslav run company, which has more cooks in its unscripted programming kitchen than it needs, especially if it's still intent on hitting its promised $3 billion cost-saving synergies over the next 3 years and working to produce approximately $55 billion debt load on a market cap of $36.3 billion, meaning they got to cut costs.
Yep.
David Zaslav is both very clever and smart man, and some would say, I'm not saying it, some would say also a ruthless businessman. Peter Newman, head of NYU Tisch School of Arts and Stern School of Business. Okay, yeah, I don't need to hear all of his credentials. I believe you. Okay, told Variety, and he needs to pull several rabbits out of the hat, and he's done it before. Who would have thought that you could pull together these disparate channels, Food Network and Discovery channels and Eurosport, and turn it into something that is in control of Warner Media? There's no doubt that he's going to succeed in making $3 billion in cuts. The obvious thing is to look at redundancies. Okay.
Look, that just makes perfect business sense, right? If you've got two identical divisions, we said this about Pixar and Disney Animation a long time ago. Why the fuck are you running two parallel divisions? Combine these two fuckers.
Well, because when Disney used to do the cell animated movies, it made sense because these are a certain style, different medium in some ways.
I can see that, but then you can still combine them under one leadership and use the right tool for the right job, right?
Yeah.
And same thing.
Well,
here.
they kind of were doing that with Lasseter because he took over all the animation division, but then they kicked him out, remember?
Well, that's another story.
Yeah.
But here, same thing. It makes perfect sense. If you've got two divisions with reality TV shows. You pick the shows that are successful from either one and cut the fat on the rest. So you immediately, reduce down your shows to the best shows that are being done. And your studios, you do the same thing. Who's got the better directors? Who's got the better film crews? Whatever. Fire all the rest, bring it all down into one division.
HBO has a reality show called F-Boy Island. Think about that for a minute. I hope they go scorch earth on their unscripted division.
That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Shows like that, bye-bye. But if they have like some really popular cooking show or something with a big name star, okay, that stays.
Like, I get the impression is Discovery more family friendly with some of its shows. I mean, they had the one. I mean, I don't think it's anything too, because I think that's commercial.
I don't
TV,
know
right?
about any of that, but what it comes down to is who is your audience and how can you maximize your audience? Okay, if you keep playing to the niche, the 10% of society that likes these stupid, ridiculous, woke bullshit, trans drag, bi-curious.
That's the Netflix reality division.
Whatever. I'm sorry. I'd rather just have one cooking show that the majority of people like.
We all know the end game is one company, one product, but that takes time. When insiders at a legacy Discovery brand told Variety, unscripted is having a really hard time right now. Ratings are down and budgets have been demolished. I think the future of unscripted and what kind of role WBD wants to play in the world long term is probably one of the biggest question marks at this point, and perhaps it's not a question mark.
Honestly,
we know what's going to happen.
That's a very easy one. Your ratings are down. You suck. You're gone. You're fired. They got to bring in the old Trump reality concept. You failed. You're fired. You failed. You're fired.
I used to love The Apprentice. Remember that?
Well, I'll tell you what, you wait until 2024 and watch. We're gonna have the Apprentice DC division. Because of all
Oh
people getting
no.
fired.
Yeah, funny. I always wondered. Obviously, Arnold didn't work out so well as a replacement. But I often wonder if Martha Stewart would have been a good replacement on that show. What do you think? Maybe no.
You know what? That could have worked
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple ways she could have played that.
Because you need a charismatic head, and I think, but someone also who has business experience. I think maybe Martha Stewart might have been interesting. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
I also thought Steve Jobs might have been interesting, but he had died before that happened.
True.
Happened.
Interesting.
Okay, well, that's it though. I think that's it for the night. I think
that's why Matanui, when I say reality TV, I kind of imply the air quotes.
Yeah, obviously. To be fair, maybe in some ways the HBO title is more accurate.
But that's also why
it's unscripted, that they just edit how they want it to do.
It's not really reality, but it's unscripted.
Which actually, to be fair, that's more of a truthful title.
Yeah.
Than calling it reality TV, because unscripted just means it's unscripted television, but we'll mold a story out of it.
Right.
Okay. Well, I think that's it.
What do we got coming up this week?
Well, on Tuesday we were. I think you have plans now, though. You're gonna talk to Mr. Matstick.
I got to talk to Matstick about that.
Just send an email. We may have to reschedule that, but keep an eye out on Mr. Matstick's channel. Keep an eye out if you're on MeWe on what we post under especially under your Friday night last call area.
Yep.
We post all sorts of stuff going on. Definitely check out the links that we provided. Subscribe to some of these new channels we've mentioned, and we grow together, as it said, right?
Yep.
And I'm trying to think. Wednesday, I'm going to be on with Birdman. We're still narrowing down the movie. I think it might be Rambo: First Blood Part 2, though. You like that movie?
Cool. I do. I've got all the Rambo movies on DVD.
It's basically Stallone going, "Oh!" and then maybe not like that. And then he blows up some guy with a explosive tip spear, right?
Which is actually kind of parodied or homage, depending on how you look at it, in Gremlins 2.
I love how he gets the Vietnamese double agent to help him out over there. And the woman, the actress playing her, looks like a cover girl. Except in the garb of and then there's even a hint of romance, and then of course that can't happen for Rambo, so of course she can't make it, and then he takes her necklace and gives it to the kid in the next movie, the young Afghani kid. I was expecting that to come back later on, but we never.
I'll tell you, those movies. And I think a lot of it had to do with Stallone. He made sure that there was a certain amount of verisimilitude there, and there was some good drama. The action was over the top, but the stories were solid.
Oh, sure. And I could definitely believe that he's sent over there to find proof that there aren't POWs, but when he finds proof that the government guys leave him out to dry because country can't afford the scandal, and they were leaving him and the POWs out to dry. I could see that happening. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if that guy was a senator or a congressman that was sending him over there. I can't bring this back. It'll be a disaster. Just leave them. Remember her names. It's a good movie. It's a good, solid 80s action movie, and one of the best, actually. So if you haven't seen it, you can watch it with us, or watch it later or whatever.
Yeah.
But cool. And Friday, who you having on?
Friday, I will have a very, very special guest, the lovely and talented Netter of Netters Network. We will be celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary. Our wedding anniversary is actually on Wednesday, but we will be doing a special stream on Friday for Last Call. I am going to, tell you about her channel, let her talk about it. We're going to talk about ourselves and our past 30 years. And I'll probably drop the StreamYard link if you guys want to come in and just wish us a happy anniversary and say hi.
happy anniversary. But I'll probably pop in too. I think on Friday. Oh,
Well, I mean, you're still on the show on Friday. You're still my.
oh, okay. Well, that's good. I'm designated driver. That's
You're
cool.
still my designated.
Didn't know if I'd be a
driver.
third wheel. I don't know. Just
No,
let me
no,
know if you want me
that's
out.
fine.
All right. What else did I want to say? Next Sunday I will not be here. Okay. Oh wait, first do Saturday. What's Saturday? Sorry.
Saturday rewatch on Netter's Network is The Breakfast Club. Don't you forget about our stream.
Oh, that's a great movie. I'm sad I'm going to miss that one because
Yeah.
I will be out of town next weekend from Saturday, probably to late Sunday. I will not be here for a stream next Sunday. There will be no Geeky Geezers, but Troy, you or Nanette might have something in the works for next Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't decided if it'll be on my channel or Netter's. I
Right.
got to look into StreamYard and see how much time I've got.
That's fine.
I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll do a substitute for Geeky Geezers. So we'll keep the notes for this week and we'll see what we're looking at for Sunday. But
whatever you want to do. Yeah, if you want to do a news type thing, you can, or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, you could even, whatever you feel is best. And who knows? Maybe if I get back in time, I'll pop in. You never know. But
Sounds
I don't know.
good. Sounds
Okay,
good.
but yeah, because I'll be driving back from Central Florida, so that can take a while on a very nasty road we have called I-4, which is if you can drive it at night, do it at night. All right,
you don't want to see it in the daytime? Is that what you're saying?
No, because the traffic's much better and you can zip through
okay,
it.
okay. That's
It's actually a pleasant drive when no one's there, but yeah. All right, y'all have a good week. This went on for a while. Okay. So all right. Take care, everybody, and you have a good week. And keep looking for posts. And cool. All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.